What's up, everyone? We're having fun here. It's me and
Always.
Alex. It's been a while since we've recorded a video together.
Yay.
My guy's in the amazing Spider-Man merch down there. Look at him. He's definitely
Yep.
Andrew.
The video game.
Actually, it's giving Scarlet Spider vibes, Loki. Ben Riley.
I like Ben Riley. Underrated.
Ben Riley's
Underrated.
peak. We need him in the MCU.
Honestly, yeah. I'd
Just
kill for
cast
a clone
Andrew
Marvel.
as Ben Riley.
Actually, absolute cinema. I'll accept that. Even though it wouldn't make sense with Tom Holland's cloning him, but whatever. That's fine. I don't care
True,
about
true,
that.
true, true. Wait, you're right. You're right.
It's okay because he came into the Tom Holland universe for a second and shenanigans.
His
It just makes
DNA.
sense.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
exactly. Yeah.
Don't
Wait,
think about it too much.
the cloned Ben Riley is from Andrew's universe and got stuck in the MCU.
Oh yeah, so the jackal took a little blood sample before he went back to his
Yes.
timeline. There you go.
Exactly.
Cinema.
Speaking of fan fiction like this, we wrote one for Star Wars.
Yeah, we wrote it.
Mm-hmm. Fate and
Most
Destiny. Coleman
I would
Kcaj's
choose-
tale. What do you think? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Should we let the
I think
audience
it's
see?
horrendous. I think it's an absolute piece of garbage.
The artwork, low-key slaps from animator Ben. Look at our
I like
friendly
his
little
dude.
guy.
I think that's amazing.
Bro legitimately looks shy, even in the art. I feel like he definitely read a portion of the tale for crafting this art. It just feels so perfect.
Yeah, he feels like a nerd.
He does. Were we writing ourselves? Was this a self insert?
I don't know. Kind of
Actually,
took on a
think of it. It might have been low key a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he is a bit religious, and we
He
didn't
is,
make it
yeah.
too often. I don't think we were too forceful about it.
No, I don't think so either. But it
Star Wars is
does kind
also
of mirror our religion a little bit, or
It
at least
does. We
our
try not to
faith.
make it too much about ours. I mean,
Yeah,
because Star Wars is definitely more of like the Eastern philosophy, but
yeah, for
just in
sure.
terms of his doubt and his struggling with his faith in the Force is very monotheistic.
Yeah,
Like monk, priest, people of faith that struggle with that. I don't think Eastern religions have that problem because they don't really believe in that sort of way. Not like, oh
for sure.
God, Buddha's not with me today. Oh, life is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really
As any good Star Wars fan does, you and I westernized Star Wars religion.
that's all we do. The Western canon always takes hold.
We be like colonizing literature, low key.
Yeah, that's what the Spaniards did to my people.
All right. Any. I'm not Spanish, so we're in the clear.
Yeah, I'm not Spanish either. I don't speak it either. But
Me llamo Brennan. ¿Cómo te llamas?
I'm a disgrace.
Mi amigo Alex Salcedo es muy bonita y muy inteligente.
Hentai?
Muy inteligente. No. No hay gente.
American.
Literatura.
Yes. So we got the prologue, The Road Not Taken.
What a prologue to this video. Holy cow.
Who wrote this? But who wrote that one? Was that you or me? I forget.
I don't remember. Half of them were yours, half were mine.
Half of the chapter titles were also. I think it's hilarious when we sent this over to the editors for this. They sent a GIF that said like what the F, like they were so mad because it was supposed to be short and ours is like one of the longest stories on here, but they liked it, so they allowed it to stay.
Yeah.
So
they let us cook, low-key. They were just like, can we put it back in the box? I think they liked it.
Once you open it can't be closed.
Yeah. Very Jurassic Park of you. So I guess we'll start this off. Prologue, The Road Not Taken. You want me to narrate?
That's fine.
Or do you want to narrate?
You can narrate. That's fine.
Okay, I'll take it away. Basking in golden sunset, Coleman Kcaj meditated on his earliest and most repressed memories as a youngling in the Jedi Temple. A lifetime ago, and the spotty memory that came to all mortals with age made these musings as though plucked from an ancient sea so brittle and raw. a sharp sea akin to shards of kyber crystals that grinded and pressed into his mind. But the Jedi had never relied on emotions, so in that day he had learned to push them down and hide them. He had quelled his feelings since he was that terrified youngling, barely able to walk in the arms of a Jedi rescuer, still stained in the crimson blood of his own murdered parents, parents that he never got to know. Coleman sometimes still thought of them and wondered what life would have been like with them, but they were fleeting shadows of a life not his own, a road he had not taken, and so willed the Force. Coleman's oldest, clearest memories trace back to his childhood being raised by the Jedi Masters in the Temple. The Temple had always been his home, even when he felt disconnected from those within, as fellow pupils and instructors alike intimidated him. Coleman had always been smaller than the average Ongri and was always in the infirmary growing up, catching every element that traversed through the levels of the urban paradise that was Coruscant. Were these feelings of inferiority what forged him his shell? Coleman would never know for sure what had made him so shy, but so willed the Force. Coleman grew up in a youngling class known as the Roaring Dagu clan. Coleman was too nervous to truly befriend the other younglings he studied with under Grandmaster Yoda, but he surely respected a few of them. He admired the blonde human girl Jude Rosess, who had such a tenacious spirit, and he envied Cadassa Nikto Jupi Shea, who showed immense wisdom from their first encounters. They could have been friends if he had talked with them, but he had not opened his mouth. So willed the Force. They were soon all chosen by Jedi Masters for the apprenticeship as a Padawan. Coleman remembered training under his Jedi Master, Noro Zak, an intimidating and leathery Baxthrax, who could not find a way to help his troubled and distant youth. Coleman knew Master Zak saw potential in him, but they connected on a deeper level as an intimately bonded master and apprentice. He learned the ways of the Force from his master, sure, but Coleman knew he was missing out on a much more in-depth experience. Coleman knew fellow Padawan Jupi Shea was deeply connected with his master, a stumpy purple shriek by the name of Rael. Clanmate and fellow Ongri Pablo Jill once told Coleman that he had breakfast every morning with Master Sanube, and Jude Rosess had bonded closely to her master, Knight Tiran Nitan, an ancient Kcaj. Coleman found it odd to reflect on the names and faces of fellow Jedi of so long ago. They had all perished in a bygone era, so willed the Force.
That'll be a recurring theme.
It will.
Right.
Coleman could have easily perished early in his life. As peacemakers, the Jedi always found themselves in precarious positions. He could have died in the underworld scuffle that claimed Master Rael, stabbed by a drunkard patron. But that was not his path. Coleman could have been killed during the Yinchori uprising like Jedi Knight Tiran Nitan or his clanmate Jude Rosess. Yet this was not his path. Coleman's own master, Noro Zak, was gunned down to his left in the Petrenki arena on Geonosis. The Force saw him through that day of fighting. Fellow Ongri Pablo Jill had been slashed to pieces by Grievous near that war's end, and Coleman could have very easily died in his place. He could have been executed during Order 66 alongside the fearless Jupi Shea, but the Force had another path for him to follow. So willed the Force.
The Jedi Who Whispered in the Void, Chapter 1.
Do you want to take this paragraph, or do you want me to continue?
You can continue. I like your
Okay.
narrator voice.
Thank you. I love you, Alex.
Aww.
Coleman had achieved the rank of Jedi Knight well before the outbreak of the Separatist crisis, but even in knighthood, he never found his voice. Not even as a full-fledged Jedi Master on the sandy battlefield of Geonosis. On reflection, Coleman had never been loud. He had always been measured and deliberate in his silence. Coleman was alone in the Great Hall of the Jedi Temple. Perhaps it stemmed from his private disappointment to never know his parents. Whatever the reason, Coleman learned to hide his discontentment with some Jedi practices, such as taking other young children and depriving them of natural connections. He hid it with a quiet and humble countenance, a persona that absorbed and listened to others and found ways not to share. As the war called for more and more Jedi to leave the temple and join clone battalions as generals, the halls got quieter and quieter. Before long, the once safe sanctuary was a ghost town without familiar faces. Coleman managed to hide in the temple's safety, serving as an instructor for children. It was here with the younglings that Coleman managed to first find his voice, delighting in his many conversations with the next generations of Jedi. One afternoon early in the war, Coleman was asked who his Jedi Master was by a delightful youngling of the Bakrufta clan named Kcaj. Gently explaining to the youngling that Noro Zak had perished in the war, he was promptly inundated with raised hands. Kcaj's older sibling, Jempa, of Bear Clan, piped up.
Trying to think of what to do for this voice here. I was going to do now. Hmm. What does the Jempa look like?
I can pull up a pic. He's Kcaj species,
Oh, okay.
but he's
Okay.
this little dude specifically.
Oh, an adorable little guy. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
this is his brother.
Okay. All right. Got it. Okay. Master Kcaj, will we ever be able to fight as generals of the masters and knights? When will we help to win this war, Master?
Coleman's heart felt heavy at these words. He believed firmly in the ancient Jedi calling to be peacemakers and seek nonviolent solutions to the volatile galaxy. Early in the war, he had heard of Jedi Sora bulk similar philosophies, finding himself agreeing before the weak-way Jedi fell to the darkness. Coleman was measured in his response to the assembled younglings.
Perhaps you will one day, but when it comes to fighting, you must try to avoid it at all costs. And if it still comes to fighting, know who you fight and why it is that you fight them. Be peacemakers. That is the way of the Jedi and the will of the Force.
Coleman taught nearly as many younglings during the war as Master Yoda himself, knowing personally each of the young initiates that roamed through the temple corridors. Coleman found that this was his purpose. The Force had called him to teach these innocent young Jedi. Perhaps interacting with them in their youth helped him to claim that lost part of his own youth. Coleman watched so many younglings grow up during his classes over the war. Salen Donals, Krona, Ahsoka Tano, Connor Chisholm, Ganodi, Ashla, Nabel, Jax Pavan, Alora, Bene, and so many others passed through his tutelage. Some of their deaths were reported during the war, and Coleman felt himself break every time. As the devastating conflict progressed, Coleman wanted more and more for it to end and be finished. Too many innocents across the galaxy were dying. Too many of his pupils were being slaughtered. This was when he had become enamored with the holonet exploits of young Anakin Skywalker. Everyone knew the reputation of the Jedi prodigy, though Coleman had never approached him. Coleman followed the stories of his victories with great interest as the months of conflict progressed, sensing that perhaps Anakin could end the conflict and prevent further bloodshed. Perhaps one day younglings would become Padawans and not go on to become blaster fodder for battle droids, but that was not what the Force willed. Later in the war, a series of circumstances orchestrated by the will of the Force led to Coleman's promotion to the Jedi Council when Kcaj stepped down. The Zabrak Jedi Council member had gone down behind enemy lines during the Battle of Geonosis, with the Jedi turned eventual Dark Acolyte Sora Bulk before being retrieved. Coleman was dismayed when Eth had soon been redeployed just to be recaptured by the enemy. Kcaj was narrowly rescued for a second time from the clutches of General Grievous in a daring mission. How could the Jedi have been so careless with the life of such an esteemed member of the Jedi Council? Coleman had wondered this many times but never voiced it. But Kcaj's second return to the heart of the Republic marked his step down from the Jedi Council, as he cited injury and psychological damages as rendering him in an unproductive state that required much meditation. Coleman had been stunned when Master Windu, whom he had never been particularly comfortable with, offered him the empty seat on the council. According to Master Windu,
I'm just gonna do my normal voice, but I'm not gonna try to do that. Matt,
you're not going to Samuel Elliott.
I'm not gonna Samuel it. One tasty burger. No.
Django Unchained it.
Yeah. Many younglings and Padawans who you instructed think highly of you, so it makes sense to have you in a visible position. We hope that with ease, fear, and in that will ease fear and inspire hope among the many younglings you reared in our ranks.
Coleman felt the decision was almost political and borderline distasteful, but he was too nervous to face Windu's admonishment if he were to refuse. Coleman knew he'd become a bit of a yes man for the Order, not unlike a clone. He did what was asked and taught where told, without questioning Jedi doctrine or reasoning. And yet he admired young Anakin's ability to subvert the expectations placed upon him to do what was necessary. Coleman knew Anakin had exhibited a quality he lacked, a quality that would help them end this war. Several within the Order claimed that he was the chosen one, so Coleman hoped the young Jedi would be granted more freedom. Maybe that rogue quality would end the loss of life that festered the galaxy like a rotting flesh wound. Even while actively participating in affairs on the council, Coleman made sure to invest in his duty to instruct the younglings. One night during the waning days of conflict, two former students, the Whippet brothers Tak and Jempa, now Padawan learners, woke him from his quarters. They brought devastating news of several classmates' deaths at the Battle of Baldemnik. The mission led by the experienced Jedi Knights Shah Kun and Halagad Ventor was ultimately a great success for the Republic. But for Coleman Kcaj, the price of victory was too high. costing him 3 former pupils, Liam Seenan, Bans Aarons, Abby Sargent. Their names stayed engraved into his mind for decades. Coleman was no stranger to losing former students. The war brought many other losses. Warble Nend, Lexa Tachil, Shah Agi, Cheyenne, Biff. The list went on. But that night, surrounded by grieving young Padawans, Coleman felt the pain much more severely. Surely this was not supposed to be the will of the Force. Those who fought for life were being paid for it with death. How was Coleman supposed to comfort the mournings of his pupils when his own emotions were clouded by the brutality of war? Kcaj had lost 2 of his clanmates. He would surely never be the same knowing the Nautilin Abbey and brave bands had perished on a battlefield out there. And Jemp had lost a clanmate too in bold young Liam. Coleman wanted to do something, but he stayed quiet. He was the Jedi not heard. So willed the Force.
Council of Lies, Chapter 2.
The toll of meeting with his fellow Jedi counselors every time something notable occurred in the whirling war was very much felt in his aching body. Coleman Kcaj slept little, talked less, and felt overwhelmed constantly. Drawing upon the safety net of the Force was all that held him together during those days. Meetings blended together as other counselors phased in and out of being physically present, traveling far and wide across the stars to help mitigate disasters and lead the war effort. Coleman always felt too nervous to voice his own thoughts. In the presence of what he estimated to be more qualified Jedi Masters. Whenever he could, he used various excuses to not physically be within the High Council chamber, instead making his appearance via hologram. Not because he, too, was gone to the war front, but because he felt more comfortable to be physically absent. So willed Coleman Kcaj. Coleman weighed in little on the meetings, but felt the weight of each member lost during the conflict. In the War Masters, Oppo Rancisis and Adigalia were lost, and he felt their absences. Coleman was present for many important meetings, but the capture of his fugitive former pupil Ahsoka Tano nearly prompted him to speak. Coleman began to be disenfranchised with decisions made by the Council, though he never voiced it to the others. He was there for meetings on the death of Tiplar, investigations into Sifo Dyas, and was also present to meditate with Grandmaster Yoda when he began to hear voices in his head. Coleman feared that the war would break all of them. Things needed to change, so willed the Force. So Coleman had been optimistic when his private hero of the war was promoted to the Jedi Council. Anakin Skywalker's ascension to the Council, Coleman felt, was overdue, as young Skywalker had by far earned it, due to his numerous victories during the war. He brought them closer to peace, closer to the end of the never-ending circle of death. Coleman was very confused upon learning that the young Jedi was going to not be promoted to the rank of Master. Privately, he disagreed with the decision from Master Windu and the others, but he dared not voice it. Coleman yearned for the days before his appointment to the Council. He could voice his own thoughts when he simply taught the younglings. During the first meeting that Anakin was present for, Coleman sensed the tension rolling off of every member present in dense waves, but he took the opportunity to carefully observe the young man, and what he found was impressive. Anakin was an unorthodox man of action, not stuck up on the rigidity of the Council in those days. He was what was needed to return the galaxy to a state of peace, where a new generation of Jedi could be cultivated in a tranquil environment. Coleman yearned to talk to the young man, to offer a word or two of encouragement. He realized that he was too reserved to do so, so he simply watched him from afar.
Brushstrokes Against the Wounds of Being, Chapter 3.
Some Coruscani socialites said that art could heal the soul, and Coleman Kcaj did not disagree. During a time of chaotic hurt, where every new day brought another name to mourn and every council meeting brought a new wave of concerns, even a Jedi Master needed an outlet. One of Coleman's favorite spots to meditate became the Galaxies Opera House. Watching various productions from differing species and cultures brought healing for Coleman Kcaj. Sitting attendance at many of these performances brought him great serenity through turbulence. There in meditation, he knew that when the waters of war passed over his head, the waves would not overcome him. Do not fear, he had told himself. When he walked through the fire, he would not be burned, for the flames would not consume him. So willed the Force. Coleman recalled vividly his final trip to the Opera House. It was a few days after the Battle of Coruscant, and he had spent much energy clearing rubble and assisting the injured. Exhausted, Coleman arrived in a different kind of chaos than war. This was the chaos of society. We live in a society. The chaos of the pomp... What's our...
I just said society.
Society. This was the chaos of...
Pomp and glamour?
No. I was setting you up to say society.
Oh, society.
We'll try it again. This was the chaos of...
Society.
The chaos of the pomp and glamour of the red carpet. Jedi were almost always in style among the socialites at those fancy events, and Coleman had to mentally prepare for the guaranteed barrage of questions he would have to endure. As Jedi Master Noro Zak had once told him,
"Sometimes must walk through the fire to find the light."
I actually like that voice for him. He was that winged guy who you thought was creepy from Episode 1 Adventures.
Yeah, right.
That statement certainly had rung true that night. For an introverted Jedi Master, the red carpet of the Galaxies Opera House was a trial to endure, a trial that was necessary to reach the tranquil peace of Squid Lake. Coleman had made it that night a precious few paces to the base of the famed staircase to the auditorium when he spotted a Verk senator who he had previously had several pleasant interactions with. Coleman's shy countenance prevented him from being able to call Swait Conquer Kill a friend, but all the same, he knew they would inevitably end up in conversation. Coleman raised a hand in a solemn wave, ushering the Verk to him. "Good evening, Master Jedi," Swait responded. "How are you tonight, Master Kcaj?" Coleman began to engage in the rehearsed cordial pleasantries that felt like an alien language on his taciturn tongue. Swait was discussing the powers granted to the Chancellor, as well as the perceived moral value of clone troopers. It was the same tired hot topics that had trended on the holonet every day since the war began. Coleman respected Senator Conquerkill's nuanced takes. "And that's why I am so grateful to know an esteemed member of the Jedi High Council. It's always refreshing to hear your valuable perspectives, Master Jedi." The Verk was saying with a cheerful smile, though Coleman sensed the man was uncharacteristically distracted. During that conversation, Coleman remembered being startled to see a fellow Jedi in attendance begin making his way up the staircase amongst the bustling crowd. The Celestin Ol Marub was clearly keeping a low profile, adorned not by Jedi robes, but wearing a disguise. Coleman knew better than to interfere in his affairs. He was probably there for a vital reason, and Coleman respected the smaller Jedi, as he had recently taken one of Coleman's former trainees as a Padawan learner. He decided to extend out a tendril with the Force, gently poking at Marub's awareness. Coleman was returned the telepathic greeting by the Celestin before returning his attention to Senator Conquerkill. The man had begun talking about the potential for getting a Jedi Council member support for a new war effort bill, when Coleman sensed a sudden spike of anxiety from the top of the staircase. Coleman craned his neck in that direction in time to see a robed individual moving away from the landing. Confused by that, Coleman rejoined his conversation, assuring the senator he would be willing to hear a proposal for the bill at a later time. The Verk nodded, showing a small smile. "I knew I could count on you, Master Jedi. Thank you for your discernment." Coleman returned the nod, but underneath the confident exterior, Coleman sensed that worry still rippled. The man excused himself then, bidding the Jedi good evening. But because of the good senator's conversation, Coleman's seating for the opera had been delayed. The tides of fate had been changing direction. So willed the Force. Before Coleman could move toward his viewing box for the evening, an aqua-hued woman of the Thai people approached Coleman before he could get to his seat. Out of breath, the young woman who wore the trendy garb customary of senatorial aides had practically yelled at him.
"Oh, you, Master Jedi." I don't know what to do. "Master Jedi, you must help me. No one else will. My child is in need of rescue."
Coleman remembered clearly even now his words to her in that past life.
"Calm yourself, my friend. Slow your words. Control your emotions. I am listening to you. So is the will of the Force."
Coleman's hushed tone must have helped the woman, because she managed to take a deep breath before explaining to Coleman that she was a single mother who lived in the outskirts of the Uskar district, and while working late shifts for Senator Sadashasa, I do not remember writing this name ever. Is this a real character?
Now he has to look up his own short story, guys.
I do not remember this character. Did I make this?
You might have made it up.
Let's see. It's going to be funny if this is like a well-known character that we should have known. Sadas. Yeah, a real. Oh, it's a real character. Oh, she's a member of the delegation of 2000. I low-key do not remember this character at all.
Low-key. What a way to know I'm old.
Because I said low-key.
Yeah. Unironically, too.
Yeah, I know. It's bad. I've been collegeized.
I guess so.
Senator Sadashasa, my favorite. Oh, shit. Her young daughter had been taken out of her apartment while she slept. Coruscant security force had identified the scarred Ogamite who had taken Mika as a member of the Kcaj trafficking ring, saying there was nothing more they could do.
You must retrieve her from the underworld. I have no one else to turn to. Only a Jedi could bring my Mika back to me. No one else will take on this task. Please. You are my only hope. Subtle. Master Jedi.
The woman had emphatically begged Coleman, his hand grasped firmly by her fins. Why was that so sexual? The Force had willed for this encounter to happen, and bidding any chance of a relaxing evening observing the ethereal beauty of the arts of the Opera House farewell, Coleman assured the woman he would do everything in his power to save her child.
Clarity in a sea of uneven waves. Chapter 4. I know I
You were
wrote this.
you were low-key cooking with that one, I must say.
That one was definitely mine. I remember saying that one.
I remember you saying that, and I was like visualizing the gif of the fire coming out of the pen. Coleman had immediately left the Galaxies Opera House, returning to the Jedi Temple to prepare for this rescue mission. He informed none of his fellow council members, fearing they would assign the task to a less capable non-Jedi, believing he had more pressing matters to attend to. For a true Jedi, the most important task was following the will of the Force, keeping the peace, and protecting those that could not fend for themselves. Out there was a youngling that needed his help. So willed the Force.
He's so
It's so what?
It's so dad-coded. He would have been a wonderful dad if he wasn't a Jedi.
Real. Maybe he was.
Maybe.
Can you canonically say right now, did Coleman
Did
do any
boink?
deeds? Was Coleman pulling?
I don't think this boy's ever boinked. Personally. Do you think he boinked?
You heard it here first, folks.
Personally.
I don't think he was getting any action.
Energy.
If he was too shy for Mace Windu, how's he pulling a lady?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
My guy was reserved.
Depression.
During a sea of tumultuously subjective morality within the Republic and the Jedi Order, which made moral sacrifices that accomplished no significant achievement in ending the conflict, they were going around in fruitless circles. I love how jaded he is in this.
Yeah. Does that
point
mean
of view,
jaded?
us watching the prequels.
Are we jaded? Maybe.
Maybe. There were many morally gray decisions made in those days by those in the Republic's government, and even with those within the Jedi Order itself. Ultimately, these sacrifices mattered little if the bloodshed just continued to deplete the galaxy. Coleman feared the status quo would be maintained for years by the decision makers on Coruscant, but finally here was something he could do that was right, something that was true. There was something good that needed accomplished, so Coleman guided his speeder into the heart of the underworld, a foul abyss that made his skin crawl.
Mighty convenient we put him to the bottom of Coruscant, is it not?
Mighty convenient, indeed. Coleman's clarity of thought and trust in the Force guided him into the vile, twisted heart of carnal, barbaric, and animalistic depravity. He's going into the Inferno right now.
Oh, he's going to our
Dante-esque. Mm-hmm. The underworld contained... See, this is high literature we're reading. This is Western canon. The underworld contained the stench of death, narcotics, and other disreputable actions of inebriated and lustful sentience with nothing to lose. They sound like us for real. The underworld itself seemed to stench, to reek of evil. It was not the place for a child to be on Coruscant. Coleman Kcaj flew by it all, using his greatest ally to sense his way through the mire. The warehouse he came to after days of following the Force was boarded up. I think that's supposed to say zapped out. A long ago zapped out holosign hanging crooked and dull from the crumbling structure. No, I think yes, tapped out works. Coleman wasted no time, having ignited his emerald blade and cutting a hole in the malfunctioning entrance. He was here to protect the innocent, and no obstacle would stop the will of the Force.
Nice Qui-Gon Jinn moment.
Very Qui-Gon Jinn.
Since Qui-Gon's the only one I've seen that's done that.
Yeah, Coleman had like the most sheltered, shy, reserved lifestyle, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere he has like this cowboy diplomacy moment, which I think is really peak.
Well, he's done. He was at the Battle of Geonosis. He knows how to fight.
True. That is true.
He just doesn't like it. Same like Yoda doesn't like fighting. So
Coleman still remembered the horrors he had found in that warehouse. Dozens of cages were tossed around the inside of the building, Fecal waste stained the cages, but most lay empty, except for one which housed 3 trembling children. Treated like livestock, a Nikto, Gungan, and Tai youngling were huddled together awaiting a rescuer. Coleman's heart ached for them as he cut the primitive holding cell into pieces. As he freed the younglings from their cage, he used the force to extend feelings of warmth and comfort, making sure to earn the trust of the frantic younglings. He still remembered the fresh blue face of Mika staring up at him with large black amphibious eyes.
Please help us out of here, mister.
The Tai head frills were standing upright, a clear sign of distress. The poor things all appeared malnourished, and Coleman had to rely on the force to quell the rage that rapidly roared in his gut. This was the evil of the most foul, heinous behavior from cruel blackened souls of the underworld. Coleman had encouraged them with gentle urges that it would all be okay, when a sound behind him prompted his lightsaber to leap back to life. Holding the shimmering green blade in front of him in a sweeping defensive motion, Coleman had found himself face to face with the gnarled face of the Ogamite trafficker. The golden, feathery, textured hair was pulled back into twisted braids, and several slashes had mashed up his right cheek and completely taken his left eye. The man was slender, yet muscle coiled beneath his form. The Ogamite stood a head taller than Coleman and brandished a gruesome blaster pistol. Coleman remembered the trafficker's words.
Jedi, you don't have more pressing matters to attend to? A war wages in this galaxy. Should you not be off fighting? What concern do you have with men making an honest living in the gutter?
The face leered at him, expecting Coleman would ensnare himself upon the trap he had laid. Coleman had not intended to take the bait and steeled his body for the retort he would be given.
My duty is to the will of the Force, and it wills me to protect those who cannot protect themselves. The war can wait.
The Ogamite's face scrunched even more.
But I have a family, too, you know. I have to provide for them. If you want my kids to eat today, leave my merchandise, Jedi. In Ogamite's livelihood is trade, no matter the merchandise.
Coleman's 3-fingered grip on his hilt tightened when he responded.
This is not a matter of subjectivity. This is about objective evil. To subject these younglings to the horrors of the twisted, carnal desire of underworld dwellers is an unimaginable cruelty. Depart from here with haste, traitor, or the Force wills me to lay down your life for the good of these children.
The Ogamite snarled, and Coleman sensed the imminent danger before a blaster bolt lunged towards him. Coleman twisted his grip to deflect the bolt directly into the ground, immersing himself in the embrace of the Force. He augmented his speed, moving forward before the Ogamite could let off a second shot. In that warehouse, on that day, Coleman had chopped down the Ogamite trafficker in a strike filled with serenity and peace. The slash held no anger, no rage, no emotion. The strike was filled with assurance and clarity. Coleman Kcaj served the Force, not an order, a council or a republic that made compromises to their own integrity. In that warehouse, Coleman reconnected with his purpose, to fight off the darkness, protecting the young and the weak. So willed the Force.
The Night of Sorrow's Breath, Chapter 5.
After the duel in the nameless underworld warehouse, Coleman had made haste to return up through the isolated bowels of Coruscant. He had been away for approximately 4 days searching for Mika. He had progressed out of the darkness below, feeling lighter than before. In an odd way, the experience among the vile had uplifted him in a fashion not unlike viewing a show at the Galaxies Opera House. As Coleman guided the rescued younglings through the Uskru Entertainment District towards the East End Residential District, he realized he would not need to get his credits reimbursed for the show he had not taken in. He would need to get his credits reimbursed for the show he had not taken in, so willed the Force. The Time Mother sobbed upon his entrance to her apartment, throwing her fins around Coleman in an unexpected hug. Even all these years later, Coleman still could feel the desperate outpouring of emotion around his shoulders. The Jedi did not hug. Coleman wondered then and now about his long since departed parents. If he had stayed with them, would he have experienced the renowned Angry embrace? The Force had not willed it. The young aide was kind enough to temporarily take in the little Nikto and Gungan in addition to her own Mika. Coleman had quietly thanked the woman for her graciousness and made his exit. Drawing his Jedi robes tight to himself in the night air, he had started on his walk back to his speeder when a rasping voice had cut through the hum of distant speeders and the thrum of Coruscant's nightlife. "Hey, you!" came the unlikely voice. Oh, wait. Yeah, he talks to Coleman. "Hey, you!" came the unlikely voice, the beginning of an encounter that had been necessary for his very survival. So willed the Force. Coleman recalled stopping and half turning as the voice came again, louder this time, threaded with a tone that was as sharp as it was ugly. Beneath a flickering luma stood a hunched figure wrapped in layers of filthy synth cloth, a beggar by all outward measures. The man's face was gaunt, eyes sunken and bloodshot, his beard matted with grime and age. A cup of credits lay overturned at his feet, deliberately forgotten. They lay as scattered as the stars of the vacuum. He sneered, "You walk like one of 'em, too straight, too quiet, like you're listening for something no one else can hear." Coleman remembered the twinge of feeling from the words. The force whispered to him a note of caution.
I'm just passing through, my friend. No trouble.
Coleman recalled his softly spoken words, unaware that he would soon be aware that his world had been stripped away from him. The beggar responded by barking a humorous laugh, spittles catching in the scraggly patches of his beard. "Passing through, after last night, wrapped up in those robes of yours. Word travels fast, even down here in Southside Uskrew, especially down here."
I didn't know we got British people in the downside of Coruscant.
I mean, barely a decent accent.
Sounding. Oh, it's great. I love it.
No, thank you. Coleman sensed an explosion of emotion emanate from the weathered man then. Fear, resentment, and anger billowed from him. The strong feelings fermented into a dangerous concoction. The man continued in a louder tone. "They're saying the Jedi are finished, that the Republic finally woke up, that your kind betrayed us from the inside of the government, tried to murder the Chancellor's Yuns did." He poked a dirty finger at Coleman. "Traitors, sorcerers, fugitives." Coleman recalled the confusion that built rapidly within him at the beggar's words. What was the lunatic rambling about? Surely these were the musings of a madman tripping off of death sticks. But the genuine hatred Coleman had sensed underlined the tone with a morbidly authentic undertone. The beggar spoke louder afterwards, feeding on attention, yelling so as to draw a small crowd who turned in their direction. "He's a Jedi! A traitor Jedi! Someone called to collect me bounty!" At these words, the crowds began to press closer. Coleman responded to the threatening gesture by drawing his hood lower and offered a quiet benediction to the man that condemned him, mumbling,
"You have it wrong. The Jedi are protectors."
Coleman's words were drowned out as they were met by several accusations hurled his way from those in the crowd. Coleman managed to slip away from the crowd, folding his presence inward as the force carried him away. Coleman did not look back at them, so willed the force. He's aura farming. He knew little what to think of the aggression that had been shown to him in the crowd. Could there have been truth to their words? Coleman tapped into the force seeking guidance, and as he directed his speeder back towards the Jedi Temple, he decided to follow the advice it revealed to him. Feeling uneasy, he tore off his Jedi robes, releasing them into the night air, where they flitted slowly away and out of sight. Eventually, the Jedi Temple came into view for Coleman, but something was immediately visually wrong. Coleman became more troubled to see the smoke that billowed from its premises. Numerous pockets of shimmering flames dotted around the building. Pulling his remaining garments close around his face, Coleman approached the sprawling Jedi Temple from the lower West End's public entrances. Those entrances led to the wing that many called the Halls of Healing, but Coleman had the uneasy feeling that he would find no healing that night. Despite the late hour, many sentients were out on the walkways, forming a small crowd in the flickering shadow of orange glow. Warnings from the force screamed in Coleman's head, rattling around like a sonic boom. Everything he sensed was warning him to get away from the temple. Coleman recalled looking up at the beautiful spires which were massed in the haze of black smoke. The crowd Coleman sank into was volatile. Some were openly sobbing and others are screaming until their lungs must have burned. There's a spectrum of emotion rushing through the assembled aliens with the crackling volatile energy of a lightsaber blade. Coleman pushed his way forward and found a row of clone troopers blocking the entrance from the crowd. A few of them were adorned in blue and white armor, but they all brandished blaster rifles. Coleman took one step towards the closest clone, intending to get a briefing on the situation, when he noticed what lay behind their legs. Set ablaze in a pool of blood were three robed individuals. Coleman froze, allowing the tumultuous crowd to push past him, blocking him again from the line of troopers. Coleman's eyes narrowed, trying to make out the bodies. Jedi Knight Iker Oki, hilt in hand, was being consumed by malevolent flames. His large Mon Calamari eyes still open, yet lifeless. A Mugen with a Padawan braid, who Coleman did not recognize, had taken 6 blaster bolts to his green face.
That's
the last
obsessive.
body was... What?
So that's obsessive. 6 blaster bolts to the face?
I think
Those
you got
clones.
him.
That's what I'm saying, clones.
Bro
It's
wanted
okay.
to be sure.
I guess so.
The last body was bald, his head barely clinging to his neck.
That was
Coleman
me.
thought it. Oh yeah, it's you. Coleman thought it was the gate master Jirok, Salcedo, but the body was so charred that he cannot be sure. Despite having had the Force as his ally to control his emotions, Coleman felt that his eyes were moist at the sight of his fellow Jedi. But he knew he had to get inside the temple, around the suddenly malevolent troopers. So willed the Force. Coleman turned to pure desperation, drawing on the almighty sanctuary of the Force. Tapping into its embrace, Coleman stepped forward, calm and collected. The lines of clones in front of him parted, and they did not lay their hands upon him, as the Force obscured their vision. Passing through their midst, he entered the Jedi Temple, his home, now a nightmare. Lunging through halls and corridors with caution, the smell of putrid death and thick smoke was nearly overpowering. Coleman only hoped the Force would guide him to some survivors that he could save from the hellish rooms. Coleman had to step over the bodies of a spindly Lakian knight named Rabiffin, who had collapsed around his scrawny Padawan, Jonathan Renaki, whose ginger dreadlocks were slowly turning to ash under the inferno. Finally entering into the first room, he approached softly into the Jedi Temple's meditation gardens. The place had been a serene place for Coleman, somewhere to hide out on his own and contemplate his thoughts, not unlike the Opera House. The scent he took in was devoid of lush plants and peaceful babbling of glistening pools, as instead roaring fire complemented crimson water. Coleman's brain felt numb as he processed the names of the departed in that room. Some he did not know, but as he moved around dazed, he identified a Trogodile named Kenkor Rabi, Mary Amethyst, Krona, Egan Reich, and Salen Donnells among the fallen, cut down by blaster fire. Coleman passed among their corpses, feeling like a ghost. He found Jander K. Bertola upside down in one of the pools of water. The blaster bolt had only hit him in the shoulder, suggesting the Jedi Knight had drowned. Had the Force truly willed this? Coleman slipped out of the gardens, his heart heavy. Ascending several levels, he found Melik Galera's twisted body jammed in the door of a turbolift. The slumped form of a Quarren he did not know shot in the lift itself. Making his way to the once blue-carpeted, now charred veranda at the base of the Tranquility Spire, he came upon a Zabrak Jedi Knight named Axter Lorgar. He had died trying to shield a handful of Jedi initiates. Coleman knelt by the body, running a hand over the wound in his chest, his blonde hair tangled around slumped shoulders. Blaster fire had not claimed Lorgar. This was the wound of a calculated lightsaber slash. Coleman's mind had immediately turned to many angles. Perhaps some of Dooku's acolytes had infiltrated seeking vengeance. Or maybe Grievous had returned from the Outer Rim. But how could they have turned the clones against them? Coleman continued exploring the veranda, searching for answers. He found 3 more Jedi bodies that had also been dispatched by a lightsaber. Several clone bodies dotted around the 3, suggesting the trio had put up an admirable fight. Coleman was devastated to close the open eyes of the ancient and revered Saldith, as the Hammerhead's throat had been opened up. The blonde Jedi Knight Trin Vela had been impaled, while skilled Jedi pilot Barbarian Afol, a near-human Oleg, had been cut into 3 pieces. His once bright yellow skin was now pallid, dull. Coleman knew of these Jedi. They were all accomplished duelists, so he wondered again at who could have been responsible for the atrocity. Feeling willed by the Force to explore upwards, he soon found himself in the Jedi Council chambers, a room he had never felt comfortable in, and now felt even less so at what met him there. 8 Jedi younglings from his current class had been cut down. It broke his heart to see their bodies left there unceremoniously. Their frozen, horrified faces seemed to leer at him. It must have been a last resort move by the younglings to hide in that chamber, perhaps hoping that he or the rest of the council members would come to their aid. But there had been no aid for Jesui Eli, Shia Laytap, Soros Bandim, and the other members of Nova Clan. Coleman collapsed and he wept bitterly, cradling the cold body of Bandim in his arms. This was not what the Force willed. It couldn't be. Coleman had then tried in vain to properly compose himself, removing himself from the High Council chambers and moving down to the first knowledge quarters of the temple, where the flames were not as persistent. Here he evaded a clone patrol that seemed to be surveying the bodies in the corridor outside the Room of 1,000 Fountains. The soldiers took turns flipping bodies over to scan faces before clicking away on a datapad. They did it with the same cold efficiency that one would have while taking inventory. Using the Force to suppress his rage, Coleman ducked into the fountain room. So willed the Force. Coleman found there amongst blaster-marked fountains that Temple Battle Master Sin Drawlig had been sliced down, his long hair obscuring half of his face. Coleman noted that his former pupil Bene had been strangled alongside a blonde male Padawan that he did not recognize. Using the Force to quell his emotion only had done so much, as Coleman became overcome by the overwhelming stench of death. The halls reeked of it, Coleman's two stomachs lurched and he felt dizzy. Managing to stabilize himself against the wall, he recollected himself before taking off running down a side passageway that connected back to the public entrances on the eastern quadrant of the temple. If you couldn't tell, I extensively researched the schematics of the Jedi Temple and found an old schematic with all the locations mapped out. Was it obsessive?
A little bit.
Whoops. I wanted to be technically correct.
Yes.
Where was it?
Augmented
by the Force, thank you. Coleman propelled himself past smoke and flames as this particular hallway began to collapse. Coming to a rickety turbolift at the end of the hall, he opted to make for an older, seldom used staircase. In the landing of the staircase, he found the body of Jedi Master OG, a fellow instructor of the younglings. OGE. A fellow instructor of the younglings, the blonde man's beard was now stained with blood and his cauterized arm lay detached meters away. OG had been bludgeoned to death based on the bruising to the temple. Coleman shuddered, continuing down the staircase. To the next level lay OG's Padawan, a kiffer named Zell Chardon. As a youngling, she had passed through Coleman's tutelage. Her green Quookhoof tattoo shimmered under the flickering hollow lights. Coleman recalled approaching her and finding the chilling sight. Her neck was snapped, and the bruising indicated that she had been choked out. Hacked to pieces in the corner behind her were the Whippet brothers Tak and Jempa, two of his own students. The sheer brutality of their deaths tipped Coleman over the edge, and falling to his knees in the stairwell, he wept again. He wept for his Jedi brethren. He wept because sorrow had filled his lungs. He wept because the Force had not protected them. He wept because he had not been there to die with them and now was alone. That night was the worst night of Coleman Kcaj's life, for he had nothing. Even his trust in the Force was broken. His heart felt bitter and he cried in agony. So willed the Force. Coleman pondered what he was going to do as he knelt there, but the Force willed a path forward for him. As he gazed across at the opposite wall, he noticed a thin line scraped into it. Half obscured by debris left by blaster fire, Coleman lifted a hand, feeling the Force flow through him as he knocked the rubble to the side. Revealed was a message in sloppy Arabish. It said Moshi Bar. Coleman now had a task. So willed the Force.
Ebon Death and the Calling of the Light, Chapter 5.
Sneaking out of the Jedi Temple under the shroud of the Force, Coleman crept past a line of preoccupied clone troopers. There was obviously a scuffle going on near the front of the Jedi Temple steps as Coleman slipped into the gathered crowd. The sound of a lightsaber whirring grabbed Coleman's attention as bright green and violet lights lit up the night. Coleman pushed his way forward in the crowd to see a Shista Vanen Padawan and a Snivian Jedi Knight back to back, surrounded by clones. Coleman recognized the Padawan as Plitch, a fearsome-looking wolfman who possessed a quiet disposition and an affinity for bird watching. His companion Coleman knew as Ligel Sandlin, and the snaggletooth's tusks glimmered. Both of their eyes were wide. It broke Coleman's heart to see no ounce of resolve but purely fear on their faces. A short distance from them, a female in Jedi robes sat on the ground in meditation, clone troopers training blasters on her. The crowd was packed together and the energy was ravenous. Rageful emotion emanated off of the gathered in waves. It was nauseating for Coleman. There was such vitriol from the sentients around him. Their blood broiled and spittle plunged from their mouths as they yelled insults and curses. Coleman felt his arms pinned to his side as the tides of chanting sentients pressed in around him. Coleman was a prisoner to the crowd. So willed the Force. The yelling began to subside when the crowd became aware that one of the Jedi was speaking. Coleman made out the desperate tone to Ligel's words.
Master, why do you sit there? We can fight back.
Coleman's eyes turned to the female Jedi who sat, legs crossed before rows of troopers. Her robes were singed and torn at the hem, yet her posture remained confident, unbroken. Her eyes were closed and her jaw was set. Coleman had noticed the bulbous red orbs that hung from her ears, as well as distinct red facial tattoos that marked her features below her lip and across her forehead. Plitch growled, panicked in his raspy tone.
Master Bota, get up, please.
At his words, her eyes slowly opened. They were wet with tears. Coleman felt his own eyes glistening at the sight. Her voice was barely audible among the murmurs of the crowd. Then she spoke louder, half turning to regard the clone that pointed his weapon at her.
The Force does not wish me to raise a blade against you this day.
Plitch broke their half circle, staggering a step towards Master Bothu.
But Master, they're going to kill us.
Coleman saw her turn to the Padawan, the grief in her expression unbearable. She spoke just 2 words.
I know.
Almost as good as Harrison Ford's I know in Empire. The crowd
Yeah,
jeered at this.
yeah, didn't you?
Some laughed. Others hollered for the blood of the Jedi traitors. The unmistakable sound of blaster safeties clicked off in unison. Jedi Knight Ligel pleaded with her.
Master Bothu, if you won't fight, then run, please.
Coleman watched her smile at him then, almost apologetic. Her expression was one of acceptance. She had nothing left to give.
Oh, sorry. I've grown
"No,
tired. I have grown tired of running.
she said. The words had barely tumbled out of her mouth when a blaster bolt burned through her head. The shot from the rifle pressed to the back of her head had come without ceremony, and she tumbled down the stairs with grotesque weightlessness. Master Bothu came to a rest sideways, her limbs at an ungainly angle in front of the crowd. They erupted into cheers as if they were viewing a game of Nunaball. Above the fray of the jeers, Plitch's howl of despair was able to be discerned as he swung his purple lightsaber towards the nearest clone trooper. His slash met with a flash of sparks as the Padawan cleaved the man in two. The clones opened fire, and Ligel leapt to deflect the bolts. Coleman instinctively felt for his own hilt, hidden within his belt. He wanted to come to the aid of his brethren, but he hesitated. What good would it do the galaxy to throw away his life in an ill-conceived last stand there on those stairs? The Force willed it not. Coleman withdrew the hand from his belt, but he could not take his eyes off of young Plitch and Ligel Sandlin. One of the blaster bolts met a mark then, connecting with Ligel's snout, sending him into an elegant swirl. The Force knocked him into the crowd, which parted to allow his entry. Coleman heard the thump of him landing off to his right in the gathering, which enveloped around him. Coleman knew not if the Jedi Knight had perished from the blaster bolt or the subsequent trampling administered by the zealous assembled. As I'm reading this, I wonder how influenced I was by the crucifixion. A lot of it reads very similarly. But I do know I was also influenced by a Purge comic. Do you remember the one where there's that Jedi with long hair on the stairs? I wanted to kind of emulate that, but because I know that multiple Jedi were killed at the steps. It was mentioned in a guide. So this is just naming more of the unnamed who were among those. And it was known that hidden Jedi in the crowd watched. It was said in multiple sources. So I thought, why not? Why wasn't Coleman one of them?
Oh, yeah, that was a good connection.
Plitch took a hit to the shoulder, yet managed to stagger forward before another blue bolt brought him to his knees. Troopers circled around him, continuing to unleash a barrage into the already stiff body. The smell of singed fur reached Coleman, and he closed his eyes in grief. The sight was horrific. The battalion had dispatched these Jedi with remorseless efficiency. One stepped up to address the crowd, his helmet marking him as a commander.
Traitors! I can't do the freaking guy's voice, but it's immutable the Plitch and the Ligel Sandlin. I don't know how to pronounce it. You do that name. I can't say that.
Ligel Sandlin.
There we go. Whatever. Have been neutralized. Dispersed from here.
The clone clicked on a data pad as the troopers assumed a rigid line atop the stairs, creating a wall. They left the three bodies there on the steps, and the crowd began to subside. Coleman hid amongst them, unseen, unheard, feeling the last fragments of his faith crumble into dust. These were citizens of Coruscant, yet they had so quickly turned against the Jedi. Coleman had turned over his shoulder, staring at the sight of the massacre he had just witnessed. One Jedi had chosen peace. Two had chosen the fight. None had been spared. So willed the Force.
Under the Banner of Democracy, Chapter 6.
Coleman felt the Coruscant underworld he returned to that evening looked even more twisted than usual. Every block he traversed and the sidewalk he darted down seemed unwelcoming and depraved. How were the denizens of Coruscant so vile that they would openly mock and cheer on the murder of the Jedi in the shadow of their own temple? After everything the Jedi had done to protect their rights from the Separatists during the war, the betrayal stung Coleman as he finally approached the Moshi Bar. So willed the Force. A humble appearing hole in the wall, the Moshi Bar's hollow signs flickered uncertainly. Coleman had entered the establishment with a measure of uncertainty, pausing at the threshold. He ran 3 fingers along the cold arch of the doorway. Feeling the weight of the underworld bearing down on him, he felt alone, an unworthy and fallen fugitive. Coleman's penitent pondering was interrupted by the hollow signs above the bar that flickers like a dying star. The air all around him was thick with smoke, old grievances, and immorality. Coleman reached out with his senses, exploring the bar around him. As he did so, he shrank in on himself, calling on the Force to move around unseen. Eventually, he felt called to a table nestled into a literal hole in the back of the bar's wall. A fabric curtain cut it off from the rest of the establishment. Coleman pushed the curtain aside, stilled the Force. Crammed into the booth were revealed 3 figures who did not belong to the dingy underworld, though the underworld had claimed them all the same. Coleman's heart leapt at the sight of his Jedi brethren, sliding into the booth without a word. He did not have to. The Force communicated enough non-verbally. The 4 of them were relieved to see one another, yet each seemed broken inside. Coleman realized they had all been hollowed out. Around him sat Shistavane and Volviv Mon, whose lupine muzzle was marred with burns and ash clung to his fur like parasites. His eyes glowed in the dim light like twin stars that refused to die. Beside Volviv slumped a lungless Gand with veiled eyes whose shoulders sagged in exhaustion. Coleman recalled that the Padawan's name was also Gand, for he had not earned a name according to his people's customs. The 3rd and youngest Jedi that Coleman sat beside brandished a fresh scar on his luminous blue skin that seemed to nearly glow. Coleman noted that Nuru Kungarama's crimson eyes seemed duller than they had in the past. The young man's hands were folded on the table in front of him, and he cleared his throat to speak. His voice cracked multiple times, the chords showing the strain of a sentient being too tired to care.
Master Kcaj. How do you say his name?
Kcaj.
Kcaj. Okay, fair enough.
That's how I say it, at least.
I cherish your lessons as a youngling. It relieves me greatly to see you now.
I can do Volviv, I guess, and Gand, and you can do Kungarama and Coleman. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
I always envisioned you as Nuru Kungarama, not gonna lie.
That's funny. You want to be as a chiss? That's funny.
I can just see it. I don't know.
I'll take that.
He's just so optimistic and eager, and you strike me as that sometimes.
Clone Wars young adult books, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I got him, and I got Knights of the Old Republic. I got Zane. They're 2 very optimistic people, so I'll take.
They are. It would track. Coleman nodded in response, and his eyes flicked across to the opposite side of the table. Neither Gand nor Master Mon smiled. Volviv's ears twitched, and he said, "You came." Coleman barely whispered.
So it would seem.
Gand grimaced. Gand feared the risk of Volviv's message, knowing not who would come. The group fell into silence at that. The table that stretched between the 4 Jedi seemed to Coleman an altar that something righteous had been sacrificed upon. They had lost. The silence was finally broken by Nuru, whose turn was even and measured.
The temple burns, masters. The council is ash. We've been declared traitors, and now we are hunted by those who are considered allies. We once considered allies. All valuables have stacked against us.
Coleman glanced at Nuru.
You helmed the home Legion, correct? How's it that you survived?
The Chiss grimaced.
Jedi Knight Torha Fa, and I did. So, yes. Rehab for injured clones. We believe strongly in it. Deny the attack. The night it happened, we were engaged in a healing meditation in that Trellian bathhouses at the old market. It suddenly Trantus blasted Torah through the head, for I knew what was happening. I was pinned into the corner. I only escaped because of my squadron.
Your squadron? I don't know what his voice is like. Your squadron? I don't know.
Yeah.
Your squadron? Volviv asked.
That's right. Breakout Squad, they were called. We served together for the entire war. I was as much brother to them as they were to each other. They were loyal to me and started firing back. It gave me a window. They died in the firefight that ensued. And now here we are, hiding in the bowels of a doomed republic.
He sniffed. Volviv let out a growl. We survived. Gan nodded at that, while Coleman flinched at the word. Coleman murmured,
Survival feels less like mercy and more like accusation. Right now, we are without an anchor. My judgment is clouded, for I know not what the Force wills.
3 pairs of eyes turned on him, and Coleman felt himself shrinking in as he always did. The attention made him squirm in his chair. You were on the council, said Volviv. You sat in the chamber of decision. You can read this, I guess, since it's Coleman saw it.
How little they knew.
Coleman grimaced.
I occupied a chair.
Nuru shook his head.
Master Kcaj, you are master, but more, you were a symbol to all of us.
The Chiss began, gesturing to Gand.
Especially your trainees. You inspired us during days that were black as night.
Coleman took a sharp breath.
That was politics. I was there to be a symbol. I contributed no worth.
Gand, with a strange alien hiss, replied, "Oh, wait, sorry, that's me.
Yeah.
Gand believes that the Jedi followed the roads placed ahead. The Jedi believed in the cause of the war. The Jedi believed democracy was worth defending as guardians of the peace. The Jedi have to retain some of that. It has to mean something." Coleman hung his head, staring at the worn surface of the table, saying,
Under the banner of democracy, yes. We marched beneath it and sanctioned armies. So willed the Force. The Jedi Order rationalized many compromises, and we paid for it dearly in Jedi blood. The war took a toll physically, but also on our values.
Vovov nodded. "We told ourselves the end would sanctify the means,"
And they did not.
Nura noted with a soft sob.
No,
Coleman said.
they sanctified nothing.
Vovov shifted in the booth, appearing as agitated as Coleman felt. He tapped his claws on the table. "Why did the Republic turn on us? The clones were so fast to betray us. What went wrong? I cannot see the full picture. I cannot feel the Force's guidance." The words cut Coleman's mind like the slash of a vibroblade.
We went wrong when we mistook proximity to power with proximity to righteous causes. The Jedi Council believed that sitting beside the senators and chancellor meant we were guiding their efforts. All the while, it appears we were being guided.
Vovov scowled at Coleman. "You speak as though you did not share in their choices, Master Kcaj." Coleman was quiet for a while. He wrestled with his answer before he managed.
I did. I said nothing. I never spoke out. Master Mon is not my place. My place is with the younglings. I instructed them to be peacemakers, to trust the will of the Force. I told them it would carry them through the challenges of war.
He rubbed his temple, closing his eyes.
I told them that if they walked through the fire, the Force willed that they would not be burned. But walking to the temple tonight, I can tell you that they were burned. The Force protected them not.
Vovov bared his teeth. "Consider that the Force is not a shield against consequence."
No.
Coleman responded.
But I believed it was a promise to the young ones.
Silence stretched between them again, its awkwardness sending shivers down Coleman's spine. His body ached in those pauses, the eyes of his fellow Jedi boring into him like blaster bolts. Nuru caught his eye.
Explain, Master. You believed it was a promise?
Coleman threw up his hands.
I suppose it matters not now. But I believe that the Force was ordered. Benevolent life connecting all, protecting all. I thought that if we aligned ourselves with that deep well, it would never permit such annihilation. It would never allow destruction, a massacre. The Force would not will it.
Coleman's senses picked up on the hollers of drunk individuals behind him in the bar and the mediocre music that poured in. Yet young Gand's words cut through the background. "You sound like a believer whose prayers went unanswered." Coleman's eyes flicked up to Gand and he said,
I am.
The sounds of the bar began to subside as if the underworld itself leaned in to listen as he added,
Masters, I have spent my whole life in the background, whispering to myself, so will the Force. I did so when the children were taken, or when masters fell in battle. I said this when the war arrived at our doorstep. It was my refuge, my surrender. I fear it was my attachment. Yet tonight, I stood in the council chamber and cradled the body of a child who had trusted in me, a body that I had recited those words to, and I could not feel the will of the Force in it, only absence.
Volva's voice was low and rumbling. Absence is not abandonment. The Force binds together all. Is that not what we were taught? Even if it was not here in this tragedy, does that mean we forsake all of our understanding? Why is he becoming Russian?
Yeah,
I always make the voices change every time I do them. I guess he's just like poured up some vodka.
Yeah,
some
that's
vodka.
what's affecting him. Vodka.
Yeah.
Russian.
Gant pondered. Perhaps Master Kcaj is correct that there was a road not taken by our order. The Jedi picked the road that saw us as complacent and loose with our own rules when it suited the Senate. The Jedi said it was wartime, and our actions of violence had been called for. Thus we chose to serve the Republic that abandoned us and led the army that slaughtered us. And it appears some of us chose silence when our doubts stirred. That was our road. Nuru shrugged.
And what was the other road, Gand?
Gan shook his head. The other roads could have led here as well. If we did not fight back against the enemy, then perhaps we would have been slaughtered sooner. Gan could not know. What Gan does know is we should not turn our backs on our ways now. The Force is a powerful ally. It still binds us together. That must not break. It is sacred.
So what do we do now? Where do we go from here?
Nuru ventured. They all looked at Coleman. It was subtle but unmistakable. They were waiting for Coleman, waiting for the Jedi who only spoke when he taught the younglings. Coleman felt the weight placed upon his shoulders, the mantle of a counselor. So willed the Force. Coleman grimaced and pleaded.
I am not your compass. I cannot guide the order out of our ruin. My foundations have crumbled into dust. I have no pillar. The Force guidance seems to elude me when I turn my mind to the future.
You are the only council member among us, Volviv said. Perhaps the last of our leaders.
And that is precisely why I should not be followed. The council is responsible for getting us involved in the conflict that led to our demise.
Nuru smiled at Coleman.
Did you not teach me these words? Leadership is not a desire. It is a condition imposed by circumstance. You told all of us, younglings, that the Force would put us where we needed to be, led. I did not know if I believed in the power of the Force as I did before this night. Coleman confessed. If the Force wills this culling of our kind, then what were we? Instruments of slaughter, disguised as servants of light?
Volviv growled. Perhaps we misunderstood the light.
The Republic called itself a democracy, and the Chancellor called himself a guardian of the people. Coleman's eyes widened and he whispered, Are you saying that this was necessary? That the Force willed for our order whittled down into oblivion?
The wolf interjected. I would say that a fate tested is not a fate destroyed. Does the dewback drop dead in a drought? Or does he continue on in search of the hope that water will replenish him? Nuru sighed.
Masters, we must decide what we are now, not what we were under the guise of guardians for the Republic, not what our council decreed us. What is our order now? We may be the last of us. So what are the Jedi?
We are fugitives left to avenge, Volviv said. Or witnesses to the end of the old, armed with perspective, came Gan's retort. Coleman's face fell.
Perhaps we are heretics. Heretics? To whom?
Nuru said.
Force. Yeah. To the Force itself. I know not. I am hollow.
Coleman's words tumbled from his mouth, his emotional expressiveness feeling out of place when shared in front of his peers. Volviv bared his canines. The Republic betrayed us, and I too feel broken. But that does not mean the Force has also turned its back. I feel it still. It is in our veins, Master Kcaj. It connects me to you and us to the galaxy. We can still harness its infinite wisdom. It is still here, and it will be there when the time comes for us to strike back. However, little reference. However, in the short term, it will not stop the clone patrols. I don't think we can stay on Coruscant. We must get off-world and regroup while we wait for the chance to bring justice.
Unless you're Jax Pavin, and then you just constantly sit on Coruscant with no repercussions.
Yeah, it's because
Right.
there's like 3 billion people on Coruscant named Jax Pavin.
I guess.
Remember
This
that
is all the
detail?
way out. You think they'd sense the Force in him, but whatever.
Something about Volviv's words sparked Coleman's heart, and he shook his head.
I fear that vengeance veers from our path.
He said.
And while we may have made errors, some traditions are too valuable to break. We are pacifists. We need to leave Coruscant, not to hide forever, but to learn the art of remaining. Survival. We can get to the rim, perhaps, away from the war, politics, and a death sentence. We can go somewhere to teach.
We should ambush a patrol, take a shuttle or a freighter, Volviv said.
We should borrow one. No bloodshed.
Coleman breathed. Gand inclined his head. Does Gand sense Master Kcaj's will returning? Coleman grimaced.
My belief is refined now. Smaller. But it is still alive.
He paused.
So wills the Force.
Volviv grinned at the remark.
So, we are embers.
Nuru whispered. Yes, we are, Volviv grinned. And embers can endure.
Chapter 7. The Art of Remaining.
I think that was yours. Avoiding conflict in their borrowing of a freighter would have been ideal, but nothing had been easy for the Jedi in a long time. Approaching the hangar bay the next day went smoothly for Coleman and the others until a routine patrol of clone troopers came by in a speeder. The blasters they brandished glistened with malice. Before the Jedi could draw on the Force to trick the soldiers, the troopers were raining blue bolts down upon them. The barrage felt to Coleman like the Angri's mythological account of the deity Skust raining down daggers upon the wicked. Coleman's green blade leapt to his defense as he accelerated forward into a clean cut that chopped the nearest clone into two. He was vaguely aware of Gand working on releasing the docking clamps on the opposite end of the hangar, who yelled at Volviv to go prep the ship. As Coleman deflected blasts, he saw how Volviv sprinted through a group of clones on all fours, hacking several into oblivion, clawing another down, and leaping up the landing ramp of the nearest freighter. The freighter's name, Coleman saw, aptly being the Dying Chance. Following the path cleared by the ferocious Shistavenan, Coleman and Nuru backed up towards the vessel, hearing its trio of overthruster ion engines slowly whirring to life. I know nothing about ships, so those mechanical details were added by our editor. So thank you to Wayne for those. Coleman's feet felt the metal of the ramp on his back foot when, out of the corner of his eye stalk, he noticed a second squadron of troopers approaching. One clone brandished a Z6 rotary blaster cannon, and before Coleman could fully react, the powerful bolts were bearing down on him. One grazed his shoulder, the Force knocking him down. Coleman managed to crawl backwards up the ramp and reach out with the Force, yanking Nuru Kungarama out of the air and tugging him into the protection of the ship. I love the idea that he just, rips him out of the air like a child. I think it's a funny visual. Just pulls him to safety.
Gand!
He shouted, though he dared not get into the line of fire to look for the Padawan. He could hear the sounds of blasts being deflected, and he noticed a pile of crates fly through the air to briefly occlude the trooper's line of sight.
Get to the ship,
exhorted Nuru, shouting into the hangar where Gand was still battling. Coleman felt the ship lurch to life, feeling the movement of its upward climb with the ramp still extended. I'm so bad at this voice. I'm gonna spin this ship around, he heard Volviv shout hoarsely from the cockpit. We'll see if we can't put this bucket of bolts between Gand and those troopers. Coleman, still near the ramp, had to grab one of the handholds to avoid being thrown out of the ship by the sudden centrifugal force. Y'all didn't realize you were in physics class today, did you? Gand, twirling his green lightsaber, turned as the clones closed upon him and leapt upwards, boosted by the Force. He landed with his arms clinging to the ramp, the upper half of his torso visible to Coleman and Nuru. The Padawan quaked as his forearms waged war against his lower body weight. As the Dying Chance scooted its way out of the hangar, Gand gasped as he tried in vain to clamber up the ramp. The unwounded Nuru took careful steps towards the edge, trying to lend him a hand as Coleman supplied telekinetic force to stabilize both. But then Gand startled them both, saying, Gand's future is here, my friends. Live on. Fight. Survive. Our order must not cease to exist. The Force has destined you to leave.
No.
This is a setup for Wayne's story, which shows Gand trying to barter his way off world. So enjoy that one. Look for that elsewhere in the volume. Will Gand survive Coruscant? Guess you'll have to read and find out.
Read another story to find out.
The remaining 3 Jedi only escaped Coruscant's orbit thanks to the deft skills of Volvifmon's piloting. Coleman felt nearly as queasy as his revelations inside the Jedi Order, as the Shistavane maneuvered the ship into dives, rolls, and twists. In time, they were safely in open space, blasting away from the galaxy's center, leaving the ruins of their temple behind them. Volvifmon broke their mournful silence, driving Coleman's thoughts away from replaying the fall of young Gand. The Wolfman gruffly outlined his plan. My Jedi master, Peoish Radul, like all Saibuna, was an explorer and drifter. It is how he discovered me as an abandoned cub in the Ara system. He told me of his travels to a lawless world that he believed would never fall under Republic jurisdiction. We can hide out there. Nuru raised an eyebrow.
What is the name of this planet? Is it dangerous?
Volvifmon's teeth flashed a dry smile. It is most certainly dangerous. A place where all the depraved sentients of the galaxy gather to engage in sadistic fun. It is a place the Republic will not go near. They call it Magur's World. The months that followed went by slowly, as Coleman's mind flashed with images of deceased Jedi brethren. The sight of the body seemed to be engraved into his consciousness, his very being. He spoke less and less, retreating in on himself and speaking only when Nuro and Volvif looked to him for guidance. The dying chance planet hopped, stopping only for refueling at the most backwater worlds they could find. They took lesser-known lanes to avoid Republic patrols, separatist strongholds, and pirates alike, blazing a slow trail out of the core worlds and out of the mid-rim into the lawless outer rim. Coleman knew he simply had to remain in these days. Survival was paramount if he was to ever regain his lost purpose. So he meditated in silent torment during these travels. The group stopped at the only starport on the wastelands of Portug, in the Bosny sector. Feeling the whipping wind's barrage against him from the infamous Northern Gap, Coleman looked out at a wild, unending plains, and he found nothing out there. It reflected how his heart felt. The wind carried away his tears. The Jedi then dodged Maguri pirate patrols in the Javin sector, spending weeks drifting in the dying chance with the engine shut off. So willed the Force. That was inspired by Star Trek, where they had the episode where they were flying the Enterprise, and they were just flying it in the stream with like no visuals or anything like that. Do you remember that one, Alex?
Not really. Sorry.
It was in season 1. It's the one where they all like had to hide in the. It was called like the ramp or something like that, and it's when they were all hiding in that one. Their whole crew was hiding in the one bit of it, and it was like floating with the lights off for like months, and they were all just surviving close to each other.
I vaguely remember this.
That's why I put it in there. Star Trek Enterprise reference.
Is that from the earlier seasons?
That was what?
Is that from the earlier seasons of Enterprise?
Yeah, I think like 1 or 2.
Okay.
I really like Enterprise, honestly.
I love Enterprise.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Voyager.
Enterprise is better than Voyager. I'd agree with that. Eventually, they passed through the uninhabited Coveway sector, and Coleman felt more alone than ever. Volvif deftly maneuvered them from there into the Wazta sector, stopping at the rolling savannas of Gamneno and then the resorts on Oko E. I wonder what that's an anagram of.
Is that of me?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a reference to Lance's story. Lance established the Savannah world of Gamneno.
Did he make a reference to me?
Yes, in his Boon to Eve story. And then I expanded the lore by introducing Gamnenoites, who are felines. Because if you know the Magneto Alex lore, you know that he has once been a feline. Go search his YouTube channel, Long and Hard. You'll find it buried in the recesses.
That's a weird way to phrase that. No, many people have made fun of me as if I didn't know exactly what I was doing in that video.
Yeah. I knew you were doing it for the memes.
This idiot, as if he didn't know exactly how stupid he was looking, as if it wasn't for content. Oh my god.
Bro was
almost
content
like I
farming.
did that on purpose. Who would have thought? But some people thought I'm just like autistic, and maybe I am, but like that I did it on purpose. So if you thought it was weird, you got my desired intent from that. So
phrasing.
We're using media literacy or visual they see because you have to see it. But that's a funny video that I made when I was like 17. So
yeah. So there's a Gam Nenowite in one of my stories named Axel, which is an anagram of your name.
Ah, I see. You're a little cheeky
Yeah.
guy, aren't you?
Yeah, he's low-key, he's a hut slave.
Does he have the Leia attire?
I don't think so, but I'd like to imagine it.
That's crazy.
Anyways, moving on. Moving on. Thank you, Lance, for this creation of this planet. And now we know Coleman canonically stopped at the grasslands. Beautiful.
Of the felines.
He probably saw them. Hopefully they weren't in the attire. And then the resorts on Oko E. Here, Nuro Kongarama acquired for them new clothing, acquiring garments typical of the nearby Hessarian and vagabonds. The dying chants began to break down in the next system over in the Bryal sector. They broke down on Calzeron, avoiding xenophobic warrior Calzerians that tried to steal their vessel, while Nuro traded for parts with dim-witted neighboring Briol bandits. Through the sheer will of the Force, Volviv managed to acquire the necessary gadgets necessary to restart the engine. Delving to the heart of the lawless Stenson sector, they closed in on the inhospitable hellhole of Magger's world. The Jedi treaded carefully as they melded into the shifting, deadly society on the Ecumenopolis. Never knew how to pronounce that. Volviv. Apparently, I don't know how to pronounce Volvith either. Volvith explained to Coleman that the planet reminded him of time spent on the nefarious world of Nar Shaddaa. The comparison was lost on Coleman, who only recalled being on Coruscant and Geonosis prior to their escape. Coleman felt out of his element on the seedy, decaying streets. Soon, Nuru had orchestrated a deal to trade away the faithful dying chants to a group of mangy Solonians that bore tattoos of the Afarathu extremist group. In exchange for the ship so they could escape the planet, the Solonians gave them a small apartment and munitions shop. It pained Coleman that they had been forced into dealing and distributing weapons of destruction, but such was the art of remaining. In order to preserve their teachings and pass on knowledge of their order to future trainees, they simply had to survive for now. Years passed, and the three Jedi assumed a low profile under the dictatorial claws of the despot Magger.
Goes by really fast, just so you realize we are now a few years away from episode 3. I know you just said it, but like it's a blink and you miss it. So we are now kind of like what 3 or 4 years after.
Yeah,
this is after Lucino's rise of Darth Vader.
Yep.
Probably after most of Dark Times.
Probably after most of Dark Times. It's like inferred that in Dark Times it showed like there was HoloNet footage of Darth Vader killing the Jedi, which was in Dark Times was a reference to Lucino's novel. And that holo footage is mentioned in the next paragraphs. So it's probably inferred that it's probably after Dark Times.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah. Good point.
Just in case anybody, wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. Everyone's shocked when Vader shows up. I thought he was still burning on Mustafar.
Yeah, I was like, what? I thought this was episode 3. Well, but here's the reason why the editor's like, what the hell? Because we kind of jump around a little bit in this story. So,
True.
We make it, I will say, we do make it to like Bantam era, so, at least for a second.
We do. So, I feel like we low-key made this into like an Odyssey type of story.
It is
just like a sprawling adventure story. It was
very dark, but yes.
I forgot how depressing we made it. Golly.
Well, I mean, it's episode 3. If you're gonna be depressing,
the sheer brutality of like the clinical description of all the Jedi he knew dying, just you feel like a fraction of the scale and how tragic it must have been.
Yeah, this is why we made the other stories like barely dark except for that one scene. Because this one was super dark.
So heavy. It's
also shorter than this one.
The other one's just like a little romance.
Yeah, a little bit. With some death tolls in there because we couldn't help ourselves.
Yeah. The death toll is catastrophic.
Yeah.
Episode 1.
But I prefer this one heavily. The other one is fine. But I wrote more of it, which is why it's weaker. So
But I'm never good at characterization, particularly. No. And so you are really good at understanding characters, I feel like, and creating motivation. So like Coleman felt so alive to me as I was writing him. he felt alive when I was writing him because you had given it like direction. You'd flesh that character into something that felt living. So it was the first time in a long time that I felt like really connected to a character I was writing because you'd already like paved the archetype out. So I already felt like I knew the character because you had all these ideas about him, and it just like ended up slotting so well into events for there to be like he's kind of a juxtaposition of an inversion, not to do Ryan Johnson, Ryan Johnson in The Last Jedi, but it was kind of a subversion of expectation to have like a shy, reserved Jedi on the council. But it makes sense because we never saw this freaking guy talk in any of the media he appeared in, so it really lines up well.
We also kind of do a subversion of the religion, or not religion, but the Force and everything. We question it.
Yeah.
We you can do subversion. You just can't dismantle the universe in order to do it.
I feel like it's faithful to it because while it does at times feel like heretical to the nature of Lucas's understanding of the Force or blasphemous, it's characters in universe questioning.
And that doesn't mean it's every Jedi. This is how Coleman personally feels about the Force. So,
and how Coleman feels.
You don't. So.
As someone who doubted my faith, it feels very resonant and pertinent to me. Like I feel that, like where Coleman's at. You know what I mean?
Is this our Star Wars Odyssey Divine Comedy?
Yeah, I feel like he's so relatable. Like
he's also like what in the middle of his life, kind of like Dante was.
True.
In the midway of my life, as he walks through the wilderness, comes upon Virgil and goes on his adventure.
I literally just got like chills on my arm thinking about Dante.
Yeah, I love Dante, dude.
Peak literature.
Peak literature. Absolute cinema.
Absolute cinema. Did they ever make a Dante's Inferno movie? Like, how would you even?
We have a Dante's Inferno video game. There was a film.
That's right.
It's silent.
I remember the game.
It only does Inferno though. But it's a silent film. It's pretty good.
Really?
You can find it on YouTube for free.
Huh. They need to make one, like someone good. Like I feel like Robert Eggers could probably do a good job.
Yeah, but he won't. But also, they were going to make a Paradise Lost movie. I think the guy from Silver Linings Playbook was supposed to play like Lucifer or something, and it just never went through. But they were planning on doing it at one point.
It was close.
But honestly, yeah, I haven't even read those stories yet. But honestly, like going through this, it kind of feels like a little bit of the Odyssey, a little bit of like the Divine Comedy in terms of like the levels of darkness.
What's ironic is I was reading those around the time that we were discussing writing the story. So maybe there was a bleed in a little bit.
Maybe there was. Maybe that's why it goes so hard. But if you're going to be inspired, be inspired by the greats. Like
I feel like you and my writing is like so inspired by what we're like consuming. It just like takes on the life of what we like.
Well, listen, I don't mean to be a Harold Bloom snob, but you only have a limited amount of time on this planet, right? And no matter what you do, you will never be able to read everything as much as you may want to. So you must prioritize what you're going to read. And what you should read personally, it's fine to read things for fun. Like Star Wars is fun. Like typically I'm not reading Star Wars for some grander lesson on the cosmos.
No.
But
if you are, you're looking to Plagueis, maybe Bane, Traitor, maybe Unifying Force, and then like SE, and that's probably it for like deeper.
Otherwise, it's just entertainment.
Yeah.
But you want to be reading things that enrich you, that further you spiritually, mentally, philosophically.
Is it odd to say Malazan does that for me?
Oh no, I think Malazan is like. I think Malazan, Book of the New Sun are two of the most fantasy sci-fi works that transcend the genre fiction that they're in. Like Malazan is a good series, regardless of being a fantasy series. It rises above. Whereas I won't.
Same with Lord of the Rings.
To the Wheel of Time fans, I think Wheel of Time is fine. I think it is a solid fantasy series. I do not personally think it excels upon being something grander than a fan. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I love Star Wars, and Star Wars is just Star Wars. You can have a personal, deeper connection to it because that's you. Like I love Star Wars mostly because of the expanded universe, but like I love it dearly. So I understand why people like certain franchises, but it's not the most transcendent thing. Like when I read,
I've always felt that Star Trek was more transcendent than Star Wars at like being deep and connecting with you. Like its exploration of like human religion, human philosophy, human depth, even in the original series.
Even in the original series, yeah.
Like it just was already exploring humans' place in the universe.
Yeah, but when I
Star
read,
Wars doesn't really do that.
No, not really, not often.
But Our Story is an example of Star Wars doing that low key.
Well, like even the prequels had it. They just didn't.
They just didn't go there.
Execution was the problem.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think in terms of like Shakespearean quality, the prequels have that going for them more than the original trilogy does.
Yeah, well, because you've got the setup of the Chosen One and then the Fall, which is quite an ancient literature type of.
It's everywhere.
Storyline. Yeah,
even you can even go with Iliad and Achilles with Anakin's anger.
Literally Gilgamesh, one of the first things ever written. Yeah,
but yeah, it's like just when I'm reading things, when you know it's transcendent, it's because it really stays. Like when you read Hamlet, to be or not to be, that is the question, and that resonates. There's nothing outside.
It still hits all those millennia
that
later.
Is as transcendently powerful and long-lasting to this very day as Shakespeare is. No one has surpassed Shakespeare so far, and I don't suppose anybody will, because he has that transcendent power to speak across centuries, to say universal truths that we all feel and think, and we can all say it in our own unique ways, but it all comes back in the shadow of Shakespeare. We all can never escape the anxiety of influence that is Shakespeare. So
true. Shakespeare's not my favorite. I'd be like I said he was, but my favorite Shakespeare works are certainly Caesar and Hamlet. Those are my
Hamlet's
favorite.
My favorite.
Yeah, Hamlet's probably my second. I slightly prefer Caesar. I'm not a Romeo and Juliet fan at all.
I have to reread it. I haven't read it since high school. It's on the to be read. But I don't look at it as a romance anymore. It's one of the tragedies. So I think it's more something to consider. It is two teenagers who think they're in love. They're not in love. But maybe, they're infatuated with each other. But maybe if they had grown up, maybe they would have fallen out of love. Or maybe their love would have blossomed into something true. But the tragedy is that they were so young and their parents were so against it that they pushed even harder. And because of that, they both end up dying young and everybody ends up unhappy. If they had let it play out, maybe their relationship would have fizzled out on its own. Maybe it wouldn't. But because it wasn't allowed to bloom in its own way, it was ended abruptly short. And everybody's unhappy because their children are dead. And there's nothing more sad than having anybody that is younger than me pass away. It's ridiculous. So.
Yeah. That's going to be me.
15 in that story. So, yeah.
I'm striving to do that.
You're striving to die?
Yes.
No. Anyway, point being, we're going to be full of ourselves. I'm going to say our story, Shakespeare Star Wars. I'm just kidding.
This is literally Dante.
Literally Dante, the Divine Commedia.
I definitely see some SE influence. Like the bits where I'm like over explaining lore is so SE coded. Just for funsies.
When some people said that the writing wasn't good in that, I think they haven't read real literature. That's what I think. But that's another
SE is so written like classic literature. It's not even
It doesn't read like fan fiction, nor does it read like Star Wars, because Star Wars is written piss poorly. I will tell you another thing. People really glaze Lucino. Love Lucino. Man loves big words. And being a huge Star Wars fan in terms of making connections left and right.
Continuity.
In terms of prose, they are fine. He does not have fantastic prose.
Stover probably has better prose.
That's what I was going to say. Stover has way better prose than Lucino, but everybody glazes Lucino. Because
I'd say Stover was one of the best writers Star Wars had.
Yeah. Also, I'd say
Michael Reeves as well was really good prose.
At times. I think his later works suffer. What's his name? Greg Keyes. Phenomenal. I think he has phenomenal prose.
I thought his first one was better than his second one.
Oh, definitely.
I think his second was probably rushed from deadline.
That's the problem. Well, that's a larger problem with New Jedi Order in general. I again will stand by the fact that it was too long. I think it should have been 13 books tops.
Yeah.
I don't think it needed to be 19. I know we love staying in the universe longer. And we love existing in it. But some of those books could have been just like one-off novels that didn't have to be connected. I think like
Force Heretic.
Book 2 of Force Heretic could have just been Truce of Bakura 2. There was no reason for it to be a New Jedi Order.
Force Heretic could have freaking been a short story.
Yeah, or even a short story. It did not need to be a whole novel. And that's a bit of the problem. Or book Enemy Lines 2. Could have been its own novel. You didn't even, it could have, other than the fact that it's during the Vong War, but like you could have done that during normal Coruscant. There's no reason that story couldn't have worked. Because the big thing there is just the Children of the Jedi connection.
Yeah,
like the biggest, right. But it's also kind of contradictory because Jason should be on the planet around the same time. And there's no because Stover admits at Legends Con 1 that he was in a perfect, because he doesn't like exposition. He doesn't like, where he was at. He didn't have to explain anything from previous books, and he didn't have to really address anything. So when you read his book, there's no mention of like earthquakes and stuff going on Coruscant because there's a big rage Jedi bad guy with 6 lightsabers attacking, Jedi on Coruscant. There's no mention of it because as far as he's concerned, it didn't happen. So, that's part of the problem of making, there should be nobody on Coruscant except for Jason. I thought that was a huge misstep there. But that's a whole other thing. We're on our story. But my point being is Star Wars has never been high peak literature.
True.
But
with maybe the exception of SE.
Yeah. Well, we love it because it all connects and it gives us wonderful characters and it's fun. It doesn't have to be this transcendent thing. It's not what it promised to be. It just promised to be more of what you love. And that's what it does.
Yeah. So, and I think does a more effective job than the films. Exactly. I mean, obviously, you just have more time with all of the characters in the world.
But if you're gonna transcend, or if you're gonna subvert,
like the rapper, Gonna like the rapper.
No, you and your rappers. These kids these days.
I'm literally like 5 years younger than you.
Yeah, that's a lot of time. What do you mean?
Half a decade.
You know what I was doing at 5? You were born. I was in kindergarten. You were a baby. Okay? Huge gap. You were pooping in diapers.
Did you turn 25 in February, right?
January.
And why did I say February?
It's okay.
Yeah, January. That's what I meant. Yeah, and I turned 20 in April. Crazy work.
I'm 5 years from 30. Disgusting. Back to the story, actually, is a perfect transition. We went off on like a
transition.
Side tangent.
And go.
Gucci gang. I don't know where we're at, so.
Oh, back to the story. Coleman detested the hulking Vorklaw, who disposed of his enemies with an iron claw. Scum came from far and wide, willingly and unwillingly, to either bet on the brutality of the gladiator arenas or be forced into participation. Violence was not confined to the pits, though, as Coleman witnessed murders in the streets day after day. The stench of rotting Arubaean slave corpses took a toll. No memory of what these are. I remember these.
You just love bringing Globe Shadows as much as possible.
Look, these things look heckin' cool.
What is this even from? Can you tell me what this is from?
A Jar Jar Binks comic.
I love you. You're just as bad as Lucina.
The stench of rotting Arabian slaves' corpses took a toll. News of the outside galaxy trickled slowly into the Jedi, and they were not easily digested. Coleman lamented the Republic when they learned of its metamorphosis into a pretentiously titled Galactic Empire. Under the guise of justice, the Jedi witnessed grainy holonews footage of white armored armies crushing separatist outlets at the last stand of Crick's Exo-Huskers forces before quelling the Cymerthian insurrection. The fighting led to slaughter as the innocents as the innocent of the Pravadi Civil War were brutalized in mechanical bloodbath. They were horrified by the new government chokehold on the known galaxy. It shocked Coleman when the ever-enterprising Magger managed to work with the nearby Moff to keep Magger's world independent of Imperial control, in exchange for a cut of the profits earned from the gladiatorial games. Wolf Mon remarked, "For better or worse, Magger has made this planet a buffer against those that would seek to destroy us." Months later, chilling footage reached Coleman and the others on Magger's world. The information was already years out of date and reported on a devastating battle on the world of Kashyyyk. The grainy footage depicted a figure in a black suit of armor who brandished a red lightsaber. The reports referred to the man as the Emperor's Fist, Lord Vader. The footage showed him plowing through Wookiees, and dispatching 2 Jedi, one that Vader recognized as a former trainee named Iwo Kolka. The accompanying write-up gave the sizable Wookiee death toll, highlighting the last living descendant of legendary Wookiee chiefess Zalbara was among the deceased. Seated around the crooked table in their dingy apartment, the Jedi studied the footage with heavy hearts. Coleman could sense the flares of anger in his Jedi brothers, particularly with Volvif, who kept flexing his knuckles. He growled, "Well, I guess this is who left the lightsaber wounds at the temple. You know, I found my old Jedi master's head at his own feet, murdered in his own quarters. This Vader, this Sith, he is the one responsible for these atrocities. He killed Master Radul." Nuru Kangarama was rubbing his temples.
I think we should go for this Sith. If we cripple him, won't the Empire fall as well?
Coleman shook his head.
Cut down the banner and the army may falter. But unless the hunger in the hearts beneath it is healed, evil will simply march under a new flag. Is this not so?
Holy bars. We wrote this, Alex?
It honestly feels like somebody else wrote it. I feel like a liar. I feel like somebody else ghostwrote this, but I know we did write this, which is the crazy thing.
That actually is so peak. Sometimes the 4 a.m. writings go well, and sometimes they don't. This is where we established that Dash Jenner is Wolvif Mon's Padawan. I love that.
Oh,
That's
right.
a fun little one. "I think cutting the head off the snake is a risk worth taking, because this Vader was responsible for our kind's near extinction. There is no guarantee that his replacement would be as powerful as he is," Wolvif countered. "If you fear, he is the stronger opponent. It is like I told my old Padawan Jenner. If you can't walk away from a fight, take control of it. The Force is a powerful ally. He would be at our mercy if we engaged him together."
Who's talking here? Oh, it's Coleman. Okay.
Yep.
I just don't know what about our commitment to peaceful teachings and our old ways. The ways we lost in the Clone Wars. This is what Gand had wanted us to retain in survival.
Coleman pondered the pacifism to his own words. Even part of him yearned to avenge his numerous dead pupils. Vader was the face of pure evil. A few weeks later, Nuru called Coleman to meet him and Volvif at the nearby cantina called Magger's Pit, telling him there was urgent news to be gleaned there. Coleman stumbled through the thick, multicolored fog that enveloped the establishment. The depravity to the nightlife on Magger's world made the underworld look like the Galaxies Opera House. Coleman missed the shows. Searching for his Jedi brothers in the room, he noted a mottled purple Nautolan watching him from afar. Coleman noted a gleam of understanding in the Nautilan's eyes as he eventually approached him. So willed the Force. The Nautilan's regal accent purred with refined charisma.
You want me to
Go
do
for
this
it.
one? What is a noodlin again?
Kit Fisto's species.
Okay. All right. So, like, sup, dude? Now that the Jedis are all gone, their merchandise is
It's right here.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good.
My
I dig
friend,
it.
I'm Maxar Ravag, procurer of ancient treasures. How would you like to own a piece of galactic history? I have unburied This is literally Quinlan Voss and Clone Wars. I've unburied many artifacts from the ancient Sith strongholds. Could I interest you with those crimson blades of the albino harsh? Still looking for the other 5 to complete the set.
Coleman recalled his quiet response.
Is that so?
The Donalin smiled, removing the hilts of 2 lightsabers and a holocron from his bag.
And now that the Jedi are all but gone, their merchandise is in style. I've heard the holocron of a little rat Jedi called Bowspritz, and this is Master Sunbarris's lightsaber. Prick Sunbarris? Member of the Army of Light?
Master Revag's eyebrows shot up.
The very same. You know your Jedi history, stranger. All those items could be yours for 10,000 credits. I have to fund my excavations somehow.
Coleman had an epiphany at that moment. Without his survival, the entire worth of millennia of Jedi peacekeepers was held in the hands of the treasure hunter in front of him. Nothing but ancient artifacts. These trinkets represented old history and would be forgotten by the wider galaxy. Coleman could not allow this. So willed the Force. He met Revag's eye.
The Sith artifacts interest me little. How about 1,500 credits for these old Jedi trinkets?
The Nautilin offered a genuine smile.
Reasonable deal for a scholar of knowledge like yourself, Hongri.
Coleman left the man lighter of credits, but invigorated by purpose. He would preserve these treasures of the past and teach their values to future trainees. So willed the Force. Coleman then made his way to the upper level of the establishment where Volviv Mon and Noro Kungarama sat with 2 Zeskin smugglers. The Sopel brothers were associated with Black Sun and had occasionally moved their merchandise off-world. Coleman noticed with some dismay that Volviv was nursing a glass of something colorful. Coleman had always been a traditionalist, believing Jedi had no need of intoxicants that dulled the senses. Noro smiled as he approached.
The Sophils have some interesting information to share that they learned off-world, and they're kind enough to bring it to us before it gets on the net.
Coleman took a seat beside Nuru and stared at the bald, pointy-eared Sopels. The slightly smaller Owel spoke first with fevered excitement.
I'm not even going to try that.
Ashagba, Igenius, Agaturmov Koi, Ver Agaispi, Badaveski Jedi, Asaskatinke, Magarde Atavis.
What the hell is this? Freaking Knights of the Old Republic again? Oh my god.
His brother Reich rolled his eyes.
Excuse Owl? When he's drunk, he can only speak Zeskanese. What he means to share is that Grand Moff Koi has made a gesture of goodwill on behalf of the Empire to Despot Magar. He's turning over 500 captured Jedi fugitives for the 17th annual Magar Bloodbath. They are to be the main attraction. Quite something. Is it not?
Coleman had to draw on the Force to mask his emotions. The news brought them much hope. Some Jedi remained in the galaxy. Coleman felt the ember of hope blossom in his chest. The months that led up to the Magar bloodbath included strategic planning, with Nuru managing to obtain schematics of the Grand Arena, as the Jedi planned the rescue of their Jedi brethren. So willed the Force. The day of the bloodbath, crowds thronged around the Grand Arena, and Nuru guided them carefully through the maintenance tunnels. Nuru made conversation as he gazed out at the sandy arena floor.
Masters, both of you fought at Geonosis, did you not?
Volviv Mon nodded. I was among the 200 who fought in the Patranaki arena. Being here and seeing these stands takes me back. Coleman's voice was soft.
That day, I thought I witnessed the worst death toll our order would endure. I suppose I have been proven incorrect.
Coleman glanced at the illustrious royal viewing box where the hulking Magar sat, his insectoid eyes gleaming with sick glee. Beside the despot, a wrinkled blonde human bearing the markings of a Grand Moff sat, flanked by the troopers adorned in a new style of armor. They appeared even more menacing, and Coleman shuddered. Their box was projected onto a large view screen, and the crowds roared as they waved to the spectators. For a split second, their applause transported Coleman Kcaj back to a time of peace, watching a play in the Opera House. Then a door opened, flinging 5 battered individuals into the center of the sands. The Jedi appeared too tired to ignite the 6 lightsabers that awaited them on a podium. Coleman recognized the Grushite Jedi as his pupil, Randizi. Coleman had last seen her as a...
Sorry.
Here's what Randizi looks like, by the way.
What? Oh, wait.
What are you thinking of Randeezy?
He's funny.
She.
He's funny. I don't know what to say.
She's funny.
Anyway, I
She's
got no
beautiful.
comment. Sure.
Perfect D's
Beauty
not
to the
great
eye
timing.
beholder.
Coleman recognized the Grushite Jedi as his pupil Randeezy. Coleman had last seen her as a fresh-faced Padawan, but now Rand possessed scars and the expression of raw defiance blazing in her bulbous eyes. The other 4 Jedi were of the Ugnaught, Lepi, human, and Wookiee races.
Do we go now?
Nuru asked, anxious. Wait, let's see what we have to defeat first, Volviv warned. Another gate began its slow, painful opening, spilling forth an ungainly group adorned in gladiatorial armor. Several battered, furry Ranth and gray, broad-shouldered Yukians brandishing vibropikes led the group, appearing exhausted. Behind them, an elephantine, towering Mammothean, inked with elephant conglomerate markings, stomped forward, shaking the sands. A pack of gray scions growled from under purple cloaks beside mottled pink Sarita, wielding blasters. Volviv grinned. We go now. Defend our own. Bursting from the maintenance hatch, Volviv Green's green lightsaber led Nuro Kungarama and Coleman Kcaj onto the searing sands, before thousands of spectators who merely cheered louder. They must have believed their intrusion was a part of the arena's show, so willed the Force. As Volviv and Nuru leapt to engage the gladiators in battle, Coleman glanced toward the box where Magar sat, grinning with unhinged hunger. The Moff was yelling commands. They did not have long, Coleman realized as he approached the confused group of haggard Jedi. He raised his voice to be heard above the spectators' shouts.
I am Master Coleman Kcaj. Please arm yourselves. We must fight our way out. A ship awaits us, and we can escape this death trap.
The one-eared Lepi met his gaze, appreciation apparent in his weary eyes. He's a green rabbit, Jackson species.
We love that.
If you want to take him.
Oh, let's go. Okay. Thank you, Master Kcaj. Surely the Force is with us then, and we are not forsaken.
Coleman nodded and equipped the group of Jedi, laying a comforting hand on young Rand's shoulder. Coleman noted the human Jedi was a dual wielder as he collected his hilts. Do you know the dual wielding Jedi is from? Do you remember Chris Nelson's video about this guy?
I actually do not remember this video about this guy.
He's from a random RPG article with an image. And so there's an actual canonical image of him. And he's established as having fought Darth Maul when he was on Naboo before Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan did. Because he and his master were stranded there from the blockade. And they were with Sia Lon Wez and the characters from Wizards of the Coast.
Nice.
Which is kind of interesting.
Oh, right. I do remember that now, actually. Okay.
Yeah. So that's who the dual wielder is. Because he's noted as a dual wielder at the end of that story. Coleman knew the human Jedi was a dual wielder as he collected his hilts. Then the Wookiee's eyes widened and he roared a terrified warning. And Coleman whirled to find a third gate and unleash several nightmarish feelings with bulbous tails upon the arena.
As you can tell, anything that's this detailed and this club shitto is entirely Brennan. Just so you know.
The Wookiee's clear recognition of
it's Brennan, it's not me.
of the tusk beast jogged Coleman's memory. The creatures were blast tails, native to Kashyyyk. Oh, have you seen these? I've been wanting to use a blast tail for a long time. They're pure nightmare fuel.
That's a thing in Star Wars?
Yeah.
That's horrendous. That's like the Chester cat on ketamine.
It's from the Force Unleashed novel and Star Wars Gamer article.
Man, it must have been like a one-sentence mention as well.
Yeah.
Well, I read that novel. That's crazy.
I thought they were peak. They scare. They scary.
They be scary.
They're scary. The creatures were blast tails, native to Kashyyyk and rumored to carry fatal diseases within spores in the tips of their tails. The striped felines pounced towards both the Jedi and other gladiators, tearing Yukians and Sarita limb from limb. Coleman winced at their cries. So willed the Force. Coleman glanced again at the viewing box again, where Magar was twirling his antenna with a claw. He deployed his final...
It's like Maga. It's really funny. Don't know why.
That is funny. Allegory? He had deployed his final hand, the primal energy of beasts. Drawing on the Force, Coleman immersed himself in a connected tissue of being, allowing himself to be a vessel, a conduit. Swirling forward, he cleaved a blast tail in two, turning to see the Mamothian giant's green skin being torn to shreds by other malicious blast tails. Vulvif and Noru had cleaved through the Ranth and now engaged the Scions. Vulvif cleaved one of the canine men in two, letting out a primal growl. Coleman hollered to them.
And now we must depart, my friends. We are outmatched by these beasts.
And the Jedi made themselves scarce, drawing on the Force to blanket them in an invisible shroud and boost their speed down the corridors of the arena. Nuru led them to the rendezvous spot with a young freighter pilot and pirate named Salmac. They had negotiated travel off-world in exchange for their entire stock of weapons, and the enterprising Mon Calamari made good on their deal, as he's quick on the controls and blasting them away from the depravity of Maggard's world. So willed the Force.
Man, Coleman's lucky he didn't exist during the Yusong Vong War to deal with the Voxen. Even worse. Chapter
True.
8. Ashes await the seekers of vengeance.
Salmac took them as far as Sikerd, a backwater world mostly inhabited by a race of weaponsmiths. The Sikerdians had not yet been deemed as worthy of conquest by the ever-expanding Galactic Empire, though Coleman knew it was only a matter of time. They had already established a presence on Kolob, the next planet over, terrorizing the local Nomrom ranchers. That is a really deep-cut reference. I don't know if anyone will get that. That is super deep. If someone knows what Kolob is off rip, it's wild. So I just threw that in there because since there are some like almost religious elements at play here with Coleman, I was thinking of like faith groups. And the Mormons believe that in heaven there's a giant planet that we'll go to called Kolob, spelled the same. So I just thought it would be fun to throw that in there to see if anyone caught it.
It's also not pushing anything because neither of us are Mormon. So
True.
just to clarify. So it's
Yeah.
something Coleman thought to add, or he thought to add.
Unless we
Kinda
convert later.
It's kind of like when Milton really hates Catholicism and
True.
priests and stuff. And well, he has Satan say it, which kind of undermines it. But he makes Satan be the voice of reason in that early section when he first enters paradise, because you could basically when he goes to Eden, you could see like heaven, just like literally like right there, just like up there.
Yeah.
And he goes like, "Man, wouldn't it be stupid if you needed someone else to speak to God? I could just scream right now; he'd hear me." It was really, like out of like no need, but he did it just cause. So it's kind of like that. Or a better example would be Milton and Dante both putting in like the Greek people.
Yeah. People from their day.
Yeah. Or like even mythical figures like Cerberus, and Medusa, and all that, and sirens.
So basically, I invented this planet, even though it's a Mormon planet.
Yeah.
And what are the species I invented that live there? What are they spelled backwards? It's like The Shining when you find out what red rum is. Mormon spelled backwards. It's like The Shining when red rum is revealed to be murder spelled backwards.
I still need to read Stephen King. So far, I've read
Shining.
Salem's Lot.
The Shining film is pretty peak, I will say.
I like The Shining film, man.
It's so good.
I know the book's a lot different, but
that's what I've heard. Yeah, I've heard both are successful in like different ways.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I've only read Salem's Lot, so I can't speak to the quality. He feels very, at least from Salem's Lot, he feels very in terms of prose.
Yeah,
but I can see why he would sell so much.
Oh yeah,
I think
it's like how the MCU sells. It's accessible entertainment,
and it's all connected due to Dark Tower.
Valid. That's probably his best work.
That's probably the main reason I want to read it, but I just keep pushing it to the side. So far, I have Salem's Lot down. That's about it. So.
Coleman remained deep in thought during their months of recovery in a Sikerdian cave nest nestled into the southern mountain ranges. He found himself often climbing the tallest peak of the village to feel the cross-continental breeze that the natives called the bringer of life. I feel like that sounds almost C.S. Lewis-like, honestly. That sentence.
Well, now you're just glazing yourself with that one. I'm just kidding.
I'm not trying to glaze myself. I'm just like genuinely puzzled where some of this came from, because I feel like both of us are like huge imitators of what we love. So I'm like, this read through is the first time I've read it in its completion since like editorial phase. So like I'm just like puzzled where we came up with this, and I feel like it's just a hodgepodge of things we love, like put together.
No. Well, I think that's what makes you a better writer. You can't write unless you read. If the only things you read are Star Wars, or like, I'll pick your franchise, then if they're all in the similar vein sort of things, you're not going to grow. You have to read.
You have to go outside the box.
Read contemporary, classic, fantasy, nonfiction, romance, everything, because that's the only way you'll be a better writer overall for whatever you're trying to write. I think that's why Malaz works, because Steven Erikson definitely has read outside of fantasy. If he only read fantasy, I think the series would suck. But it's because he's read everything, and he puts everything into the fantasy, which elevates the fantasy. So, yeah.
Yeah. Valid.
I mean, I probably, if I would write something, it would be fantasy or sci-fi. But I would try to implement everything I've learned from classic and contemporary literature.
One of my favorites to write in my free time is post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, maybe if I wasn't so negative right now with the state of the world. Because post-apocalypse is always
right now you just want escapism instead of realism.
I'm not even escapism. I'm fine with real world. I just the world is already so dark. I don't need also I read The Road. I love The Road. Yeah. Though it's not as bleak to me as Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy, which is during the Wild West. I think that was
such a peak novel.
It's honestly that's what got me into reading. Honestly, Iliad would never have been read by me or Dante or Milton if not, because I was trying to read this series called Prince of Nothing and the Aspect Emperor fantasy books by this man named R. Scott Bakker. And the Aspect Emperor is a 4-book sequel series to the Prince of Nothing trilogy. And he said he was highly inspired by J.R.R. Tolkien, obviously, and Blood Meridian. So I picked up Blood Meridian simply so I would understand where he was coming from in writing the sequel series. But I loved it so much. And I've read Suttree, also by Cormac McCarthy. I've read The Road. I've read All the Pretty Horses by Cormac McCarthy. But Cormac McCarthy is the drug. It is what got me into reading classic literature for fun, not for a degree. Contemporary literature. I'm going to read. I already bought Infinite Jest. It's sitting there waiting to be read by by Daniel Foster Wallace and Moby Dick and thousands of other things that I've
not gonna lie, Moby Dick's overrated.
Maybe I'll see. I hated it the first time I read it. But I also hated Shakespeare in high school. And I love Shakespeare. I've read Hamlet, Macbeth, King Lear.
Yeah. Did you read Oedipus Rex yet? Oedipus Rex yet?
No, I'm working up to. I haven't read any of the Greek plays yet.
Okay. Oedipus Rex is a standout for me from those.
Well, I have a collection of that. It's the. Hold on. We'll get back to our story. I apologize.
No, you're dude.
Plays.
This is making this video more worth watching.
Yeah, new translated, edited by Mary Lebowitz and James Rom. It has all of them. It has the plays of Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. I can't pronounce these Greek names, but that guy. Euripides, yes. So I have all those.
Euripides? What is this? A foot guy? Euripides?
Maybe. Also, a bunch of Dickens. Ready to go. I have. I read Pride and Prejudice. I read Pride and Prejudice. I plan on reading the rest of Jane Austen's work.
Yeah. Pride and Prejudice is not bad at all.
It's fine.
It's not my favorite, but it's not horrible.
I enjoyed the movies more. I like the one. I like the 2005 one a lot. I'm a bit of a girly. I've been called by many women one of the girls. So period. I accept it. It's fine. Listen, I hang out with girls.
This is why you have a species named after you that's a feline.
It's a thing that girls do. They go purr with their nails. Period. Purr. You wouldn't know. You don't.
Maybe the West Coast girls.
Well, okay, all your girls are conservative. That's not my fault. Anyway, Listen, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, other than I like romance. I don't like to read it typically, and I don't even think Pride and Prejudice is a romance novel particularly. There's romance in it, but I don't think that's the sole point of it.
No, I would agree.
But I'm just saying I'm easy on the, like, you know, when you write like a good little sentence of like you know, like the little banter that they have in that book, you know, a little back and forth, you know, where she goes like she says
It warms
something.
the cockles of your heart.
Yeah, she says cockles. She says something early. Yeah, it's got the word cock in there. Sorry. But
This is the dumbest and most intelligent video we've ever made simultaneously.
She says something to him early on in the book, and Darcy replies, "Oh, do you believe that your gender is so small that they?" Oh, because he says that his standards for woman, what he wants in a marriage or a partner, is somebody that can read, somebody that appreciates art, somebody that's smart, and
Right.
all the list of things. And she goes like, "Wow, aren't you like, you know, you've got such a specific thing you need, huh?" And he goes, "What? Do you think that you can't accomplish those things, or that, you know, that's too much for you, or something like that?" I was like, yeah, I love it. It's fun.
Bro,
I like
spitting game.
Yeah, literally, even though he's like the most introverted, non-explaining his feelings man.
Just like me, for real.
Honestly, Mr. Darcy's goated, personally. Neither of them are villains. They just don't know how to talk to each other, and again, Pride and Prejudice. They have assumption. They make assumptions,
Yeah.
and they have prejudice.
It's actually so real. What I find really interesting about that novel is how transcendent some of those themes are just in time. Like, we've met plenty of people who fall into pitfalls that the characters experience in that story.
Because everybody thinks Mr. Darcy's this bad guy, and Mr. Darcy also makes assumptions about Elizabeth. And it's not until they actually talk to one another that they see each other for what they know. Because nobody's a villain in that story. Elizabeth is not a villain. Mr. Darcy's not a villain. It's just that they don't understand one another because they don't actually allow themselves to see the truth of who each other is. And when they do, they like each other. That's the thing. So anyway, we're not here to talk about Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth. We're here to talk about Elizabeth.
Man.
We're here to talk about our story. So.
Breathing deeply of that air centered Coleman. The force was the bringer of life for him, and he drank deeply from its well. Coleman found peace there again and clarity of thought. He felt sure that they should begin building a new Jedi Order within the cave nests. A what, Alex?
Oh, name drop.
He had already sensed some force sensitivity in a few of the locals. Perhaps purpose had followed him here, and he would return to his calling as a teacher. This was not what his fellow Jedi willed. One evening, Master Tree Tower requested a meeting amongst the 8 of them, and Coleman suggested they meet at the mountain peak. They gathered there, sitting in meditation for some time. Eventually, Tree Tower grunted his intentions in a thick Ugnaught accent. Do you want to voice the Ugnaught?
I've never thought about what they sound like
accent.
in English.
No, I guess he can speak basic. He could in the comic he was featured in. He was in that little Clone Wars Adventures comic with the Republic Commandos.
Okay. I believe it is time we address our purpose here. What exactly our path shall be to lead ourselves out of these dark days and into light. I have spoken with Master Mon on these matters, and we have reached a consensus we wish to present.
Coleman's mind flashed back to meetings within the Jedi Council high chambers, sitting in meek silence in the corner as other Jedi shared their thoughts. Here he was once again. Despite how much had changed, some things remained the same. We must vanquish the clearest threat to the galaxy, Vovifmon opined. That threat is most certainly Lord Vader, the blade of this new order. His darkness is stretched clear to the outer rim. We are well familiar with their many atrocities. People are suffering, and as peacekeepers, it is our duty to restore the balance. Let us hunt the Sith as if he were our prey. Tree Tower nodded, grunting.
And the galaxy will... I guess they're just a freaking tree nymphs. from Tolkien.
No, Tree Tower's the Ugnaught.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
No, you good.
And the galaxy will breathe a sigh of relief as hope fills its lungs. If we remove Vader from the galactic table, there is no clear price to fill his role. Palpatine becomes a lame ugh duck. The people rise up against the Empire. Vader's symbol vanishes.
The bearded Jedi Guardian ran Thrak in voice concern. And if we fail, if Vader kills us,
Oh, is this Matt Wilkins?
this is Chris Nelson's character, so I'm voicing him as Matt Wilkins. This is
Okay.
Chris Nelson's character from that one magazine who fought Maul and is the dual wielder. He's bearded, so we're gonna make him a redneck Matt Wilkins. And if we fail, if Vader kills us, the Jedi Order dies with us. I've brushed with those that wielded the darkness before. One took my master. They're a difficult enemy to prevail against. Texit's green ear twitched as he tugged on his whiskers. This is your leppy guy, your rabbit guy.
You know, defeat may be a risk, but I bet you the reward is greater. The Force points me in this direction, and I ain't gonna go against my gut, you know?
The Wookiee Jedi Gunji roared in Shiriwook. Texit flashed him a small grin.
Hey now, since none of us speaks, I'm a rock star. Could you come on, go play?
Go.
Tyrick.
Hey now.
I'm gonna have to assume he's with me.
The broad Wookiee offered an approving nod. Randizi's eyes were steely. Then it's decided. We kill Vader, and the galaxy is saved.
Awful. I hate Randy's nuts. Hope they die.
Naru glanced at Coleman, concerned marred across his forehead.
Wait, Master Kcaj. As the last member of the Jedi Council, do you have any thought on this?
Coleman Kcaj felt the other heads turn to regard him, and he shrank underneath their collective gaze. And he realized that he was outvoted 7-1. There would be no reasoning with his Jedi brethren. He realized they had made a decision. So willed the last of the Jedi.
Another reference, 6-7.
You can read this bit. You can read his bit in thought, I guess.
Only ashes await those who seek vengeance.
Coleman had yearned to unleash this critique upon them, but he stayed silent. And he always did, as he always did. Instead, his voice came out in a low rumble.
No, Nero. We have decided on the Force's will. The matter is settled. Chapter 9.
Sorry.
Very good. Depart from me, my dearest companion. I think that one's yours.
Yeah, I tacked this one on because the editor asked for Naru to survive the story. Spoilers.
Okay.
Before the Jedi finished preparing for the hunt of Vader, Naru Kungarama made the decision to leave their campaign. Naru had already bid the others farewell, but Coleman resolved to see his one-time pupil off. So Coleman stood alone in the pouring winter rain, a lone figure in the frigid cold. Naru had said he was leaving with an old friend, and Coleman spotted the largest Mogonite he had ever seen prepping the shabby vessel for takeoff. A strange friend indeed. Naru approached him solemnly, and his voice cracked at intervals.
Master Kcaj, I could not in good conscience go through this quest for vengeance. I'm sorry, but after all that we've been through these years together, I just don't want to see our values thrown away on a suicide mission.
Coleman nodded.
I concur completely, my friend. I have the utmost respect for you, Nero. You're an exceptional pupil and a better friend. I value the light your presence brought to me in these dark days. May the Force be with you on your new path. You can still come with us.
The Chiss prompted.
Choice is yours, Master.
Coleman raised his hand.
The decision was not mine to make. I'm following the judgment that the others have made. The Force wills me with them. In the meantime, Nero, I urge you to stay immersed in the Force. That vessel appears rather disreputable, so do not forget who you are, no matter the company you keep or the environment you find yourself in. Fear not for me, Master Kcaj. I'm not one who would throw my views away to conform with the ways of the vile. I fear instead for you. May this Force spare you, O Criffet.
He startled Coleman by moving forward and embracing him into a hug. Coleman was startled by Naru's uncharacteristic action, but he slowly accepted the gesture. It was the first and last hug Coleman ever experienced.
Damn,
No. Wait, that's a contradiction. Because, oh, wait, maybe that he engaged in. Because that one woman hugged him when he returned her child.
Yeah, no, but he didn't hug back.
Ah, true.
But so we're saying none of the younglings later hug him? That sucks. He's just an old
Wow.
crusty man, that's why.
Uncle Coleman is just like the weird guy at the family function sitting in the corner just watching.
They're always weeping.
This bit had such great this bit was good.
Yeah, you wrote that well.
Low-key sexual tension.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm gonna cut that. Unless you want me to keep it in.
Keep it in. It's funny, but you're silly. It was most definitely like a father-son dynamic, more so than sexual. They're always weeping. We'll meet again, won't we, Master Kcaj? I don't know where. I don't know when. But the Force will see our paths reunited. It must. I'll not forget you or your lessons, teacher. If the Force wills it, it will be so.
Coleman nodded.
Now depart from me, my dearest companion, for I am tempted to go against where the Force wills me and join your path.
The young Chiss nodded and turned away to board the piece of junk they called a vessel. The ship blasted off, becoming a speck until it vanished from view. Coleman stood there for a long time, even after Nero was gone, searching his feelings. He felt numb. So willed the Force.
Chapter 10. We're not the same.
That was definitely yours, I think.
Oh, you think so? I don't remember.
I think it was. It's a good one. The remaining group of Jedi had formed a bold plan, and Coleman trailed them, feeling the weight of their impending actions pressing upon his mind. The weight of it bore down upon him constantly. In a reckless move, the Jedi had made a plunge into the core worlds, making it to the occupied planet of Talos. In the capital of Diaric, the Jedi took the Imperial outpost at night, dispatching the stormtroopers. They took the local commander of the station, one Colonel Kcaj, and broadcast a video to the HoloNet, demanding the presence of Lord Vader to negotiate a trade for the hostage. The gambit proved effective, as Volvuf reported that within minutes of the video's upload to the net, it had been removed by Imperial intelligence. They did not want to risk being seen by the galaxy as weak rulers, being threatened by scattered Jedi survivors. So, someone commented on our story when they read it that ain't no way Vader got rage baited by cyberbullying or something like that. That's basically what happens here. The Jedi are like, let's post a Twitter video rage baiting this guy. And then Vader's on the HoloNet mid-scroll. Ugh! Gotta get these guys.
Yeah, I don't know. This part, the way of getting Vader where we need him was all you.
Yeah.
We just talked about Vader popping up. But
Yeah.
we didn't really
I didn't really know how to do it, so I just made this rage baiting plan.
Honestly, though, I think Anakin's vain enough for it.
I do too. It felt like it was treading on that treading kind of on the story of the Purge comic where they like rage baited him into being there, where they told him like Obi-Wan was there or something.
Yeah, that's true.
The whole comic, he's like spamming, "Where is Kenobi?"
Like, we lied. He's like, you freaking fricks.
Yes, exactly. That's actually verbatim. Yeah.
Exactly.
Great minds. The gambit. Darth Vader had certainly taken notice of the video. Coleman knew they would not have to wait long. So willed the Force. He came at night, shrouded in darkness. The presence sent ripples through the Force, jarring Coleman from his meditation. The Dark Lord was upon them. The Jedi exited the main entrance of the compound with Colonel. Are you laughing? Is that what I'm hearing?
No.
I thought you laughed at the Dark Lord was upon them, and I was like, ain't no way Alex is laughing at that part.
Continue. Go.
The Dark Lord was upon them. The Jedi exited the main entrance of the compound with Colonel Kcaj, lightsaber hilts in hand. The Emperor's servant stood alone on a hill. Stars glistened behind him in the black sky. The winds whipped his cape into the night air. Stir, whip, 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 stir. Aside from the movement of... What?
You don't need to reference that. Move along. I don't want to be reminded of that, no matter how much you
These were not the references you were looking for.
No, continue.
Aside from the
holiday special.
Aside from the movement of his cloak, the man was completely still, yet noises whirred from the black armor he wore. Wolfmom stepped forward from their 7. I am glad you came, Vader. You are to be punished for crimes against the Jedi Order, atrocities against the galaxy, and unbalancing the Force. You have plunged the galaxy into turmoil, and we are here to set it right. The deep mechanical voice that responded chilled Coleman to his core.
Is that so?
It is true. Submit yourself to justice, Vader. Ranthrakan ignited his lightsabers, but Coleman noted that his hands trembled. Color blazed to life as the other Jedi lightsabers blazed to life. Should have used a different verb. Vader just stood there, the colors reflecting off of his helmet. He simply raised a gloved hand and motioned at the colonel. Ekirk was plucked from the ground and into the air before being cast unceremoniously to the side with a splutter. Then a crimson blade seemed to leap from his glove, a specter of crimson in the obsidian figure. Coleman raised his hilt and ignited his weapon then. Vader's helmet inclined ever so slightly, and his words came with eerie precision.
I have hunted your kind to the corners of the galaxy. You should not have drawn me here.
In a flash of remarkable speed, the figure had closed the distance between the groups, delivering a savage slash at Gunji, who barely managed to intercept the strike. The Sith transitioned the deflected strike into a smooth turn, driving his lightsaber into nearby Randy's Nuts' chest. She had not even had the chance to raise her blade. The Grushite crumbled at his feet as Vader turned to regard the leaping form of Master Tree Tower. Seeing the diminutive Jedi launch into a sweeping strike directed Coleman's thoughts back to sparring in the temple with Master Yoda. The personification of the dark side appeared to also recognize Tree Tower's maneuver. Extending a hand, Vader made a fist. The Ugnaughts' limbs crumpled in on himself with a sickening pop. The Jedi Master fell to the Dark Lord's feet with a wet slap. Ranthrakan darted quickly behind Vader, aiming a slash at his back, but Vader whirled into the attack. Locking their blue and red blades together, Rand groaned under the weight of Vader's strength, breathing in terror. What power do you possess that you can crush a Jedi Master with the motion of your hand?
You underestimate the power of the dark side, Jedi.
Vader
He's got
thrust
to
his
say
blade
that at every movie. So
every single time. It's his default line. He's a little shy guy who doesn't know what to say, so he just spams the same dialogue. Vader thrust his blade forward, knocking him to the ground. Volviv and Coleman came to the aid of the Ran, intercepting a killing blow. Coleman felt primal evil emanating from his opponent's blade, running into his own and clouding his senses. Sweat beaded against his forehead as he and Volviv stared at the visage of evil. Behind Vader, Texit dark visage of evil. Yeah, you're right. Right. Behind Vader, Texit darted forward, aiming his violet blade at the Dark Lord's back. Before a fatal strike could be delivered, Vader had launched above the group, leaving Texit off balance below. The Dark Lord landed down upon him, his boots pressing the Lepi to the ground. Texit received no mercy as his head was severed from his shoulders by a strike with the cold efficiency of a battle droid. Coleman grimaced at the sight of the Lagamorph's frozen look of shock. Gunji and Volvivmon descended upon Vader. A Wookiee and a Shistavanen with lightsabers would be terrifying. It's like a werewolf and a Sasquatch attacking you, unleashing a barrage of strikes against him. What's that?
But it's Vader, so he's fine.
True. Powerful blows that would have knocked a lesser man off his feet. Gunji's two-handed grip maneuvered his lightsaber around like a deadly club, guided by Wookiee brawn, enhanced by Force-augmented strength. Coleman extended his hand then, directing an invisible push at the Dark Lord as Volviv and Gunji unloaded powerful blows on his weapon. Vader dug his heels into the dusty ground and did not budge. Coleman's eyes widened. With a burst, the Sith ducked under one of Gunji's strongest strikes, positioning his blade at an angle as he flew past. Gunji dropped in two pieces, confusion plastered across his young face. Volviv backed towards Coleman as Rand assembled to Coleman's left. Vader stood unopposed, and the group of Jedi had been reduced to less than half strength. They stood in a jagged line, their cloaks billowing around their ankles in the knee-high grass. Coleman reached out a hand, clutching at nearby rocks and thrusting them towards the sun of darkness in a showering cascade. A sizable piece connected with the man's chest plate, but the rest were repelled by an invisible force. "We're outmatched," Ranthrakan murmured. "I've never faced a Darksider his equal." Then the man accelerated into a fury of slashes, moving with the grace, agility, and poise of an experienced duelist. Vader matched the sudden move, managing to intercept each of Rand's lightsaber strikes before a counterattack slashed across the man's shoulder. The bearded Jedi fell into the grass. Before the Sith could end Rand, Volviv was upon him with fearsome grit. The Wolfman leapt over one of Vader's fatal strikes, delivering a clawed smack to the helmet that shattered the transparency hollow plating over Vader's right eye. Vader responded with a strike that Volviv parried, sending a counterattack that separated the black shape's cloak from his armor. Sparks rained down, a herald for the cape's severance. Volviv darted forward into an upward strike intended to cleave off Vader's helmet, but the Dark Lord was quicker. He maneuvered inside of the blow, a gloved hand enveloping Volviv's shaggy neck. Lifted from his feet in one smooth motion, the Sith Lord clutched the Wolfman hovering above the ground. Rand leapt to his feet and charged to Volviv's defense, but Vader's lightsaber flashed upwards. Vader tossed the Wolfman away as Rand was impaled upon his crimson blade. The Dark Lord disengaged his lightsaber, stepping over the body that fell before him as Volviv crawled away to Coleman. His mechanical voice came again.
Now there are two. Yield to your fate.
Coleman kept his lightsaber in front of him, adopting a defensive stance. He countered the Sith's claims.
Can fate not be averted by those that trust the guidance of the Force? There's great hope in destiny, the destiny that the Force wills. There is no hope. The only certainty is suffering, for I am its instrument.
That was yours. Yeah, that was yours. With that, the Emperor's fist launched forward through the air, closing the gap between them, delivering a kick to Coleman's solar plexus that sent him reeling. Coleman fumbled to his feet in time to watch Volviv half rise in a defensive stance, frantically deflecting a torrent of lightsaber strikes. The two warriors' blades locked, and Volviv half turned to Coleman, catching his eye. Peace plastered across his lupine face. "Don't let our order die, Coleman," he growled. "You must teach our ways to other Jedi. That is your path." The words had barely escaped his canines when his defense crumbled, and the Dark Lord lopped off his head. That's so callous. Poor Volviv, my goat from Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. Vader turned to Coleman.
I recognize you, Ongri. You were Master Kcaj, who sat on the Jedi Council. How little they knew.
Coleman gasped.
You were a Jedi?
Volviv said nothing, Vader said nothing, just stood there, his obsidian armor shimmering in crimson hues. Coleman extended his perception forward, calling on the Force to probe into the mind of the darkness in front of him. The mental fortitudes Vader possessed were strong blockades, but a being as powerful as him left the crumbs of signatures that Coleman could pick up on. Vader marched forward, lightsaber raised as Coleman recoiled in disgust. Coleman gasped.
Skywalker?
The Sith Lord stopped in his tracks, halted meters from Coleman. So willed the Force. The Sith Lord responded.
Skywalker is no more Jedi. I killed him.
Coleman did not buy the response, and he pressed on as he backed away.
No. You're him, aren't you? You know, I admired you greatly, Skywalker. I never got to tell you that you inspired me, the way you spoke out and did what the Council would not. You were the chosen one who would end the war. Anakin Skywalker is dead. How could you have done what you did? I found what you did to the younglings. It makes me sick that I once aspired to be what you were, Skywalker. I wanted to be as you were. But we are not the same. I see now the blessing of being meek, for I had no hubris to lead me astray.
The Sith responded.
Your words will not save you, Coleman Kcaj. This is the end.
Coleman took another step backwards.
You know, that's the thing about destiny, Skywalker. It ends only when it is the will of the Force. And the Force wills more for me this day.
With those words, Coleman sank into the shadowed night of Talos, blanketed by the protection of the Force that enveloped him like a force field. In mere moments, Coleman Kcaj had been bound for the peaceful oasis that awaited him in the fringes of the galaxy. So willed the Force. Epilogue.
Renewal. Also mine, I think.
I agree. And now here he was, in the days of renewal. Coleman Kcaj filled his last days with his calling, the instruction of Jedi younglings in the ancient temples of Yavin 4. He spent time walking through the lush jungles and meditating alongside the babbling streams. Being among a thriving group of Jedi once more had been jarring, as Coleman Kcaj's prior years had seen his peaceful isolation on an abandoned world, as he existed in nature as the Force intended. His decades-long meditation was interrupted when the Force summoned him back to the known galaxy. There he found the Jedi rebuilt by the son of Anakin Skywalker. So willed the Force. Coleman Kcaj never revealed his former status as a member of the Jedi Council to the young Grand Master Skywalker or historian Solusar. He sought not the responsibility they would have placed on his shoulders, so he kept his secret and assumed the comfortable role he was destined to fill, a gentle teacher. So willed the Force. One evening, Coleman Kcaj sank into his deepest meditation, becoming closer to the Force than ever before. He felt the ethereal light stretching for his very tissue, enveloping him into an embrace that defied gravity. Understanding began to dominate his senses. Coleman resisted not the tug of the Force, allowing the light to take him into the very fabric of the universe. He fell into infinite life, connected to all purity that came before and would come afterwards. Coleman Kcaj had returned to the great source of nourishment, and he passed out of corporeal life into elevated understanding. So willed the Force.
Somebody
The
said
end.
kudos on the work.
Yay, thank you to Ooga Booga and Based Cat 09.
And so he dies sometime before New Jedi Order, so he doesn't have to deal with any of that.
Our
So
goat.
yes, maybe sometime after Hand of Thrawn.
Yep.
Maybe before Young Jedi Knights, I think.
Yeah,
It's
I think that
probably-
would make sense.
Yeah. So the Young Jedi Knights and Junior Jedi Knights happens, and he's
When we
already dead.
finish Shifting Tides,
Should have him
we
die.
should- we should have Jason reflect on like the one with the one with Anja Galandro. We should have Jason reflect on like a lesson Coleman taught him as a kid. That could inspire his philosophy.
Basically, to explain that, this is sometime in the future. No clear date on that because we haven't even
No.
started.
Although it's
anything.
already been like tentatively Rex approved. Nick approved
Yes.
of us writing it.
But basically, despite what some on the internet may claim, if you read, as I have, Young Jedi Knights and Junior Jedi Knights and immediately jump in to New Jedi Order, it is really jarring. Arguably worse than any transitions from any story set after New Jedi Order. Because people always like to claim that certain stories set after New Jedi Order just
True.
are jarring and don't fit. But the thing is you have a 5-year gap for character development. Okay? Now, people always say show, don't tell, which is, first off, purely a film and television point that is made. It is not a book notion anywhere in the literary history. Is that something that must be? Books nowadays are becoming more like movies in structure, and that is why you see the show, don't tell thing, but that's not actually a rule in literature anywhere up until now. Like Patroclus, we were just talking about the Iliad before. Are they lovers? Maybe. Are they just best friends? Maybe. A lot of people say that they're lovers, but the story doesn't tell you that. All we know is that he gets an emotionally strong reaction to the death of Patroclus, which could mean anything. But people really like to make the assumption that he's gay because of that. Maybe he is, but they don't show nor tell, right? So, but I would rather, if he is gay, that we were told that, even if we weren't shown that. So anyway, stories set out for New Jedi Order, they do a lot of telling and not showing. But at least I'm told. I can fill in the gaps with my imagination. The problem is with the YA novels and New Jedi Order is that, chronologically speaking, there's a 6-month gap. And most of the defenses I've heard of such a complaint that I've brought up has been,
Jason hit puberty.
He hit puberty, so he's just different now. He just all of a sudden is like super like pacifistic, Jason Solo, and is super philosophical now when he has shown none of that whatsoever in New Jedi Order or in Young Jedi Knights. But the truth of the matter is simply that the writers of New Jedi Order, except for a handful like Troy Denning and Greg Keyes, never read those books, so they didn't care. So they didn't bring that into the story. And so I found it really jarring that he would act that way. I think it is such a massive story issue that it has to be addressed. So something I thought about with Brennan is the fact that 2 things. We get introduced to a big character that's a big reference to Han Solo's novels by Brian Daley at the end of Young Jedi Knights, which is Anja Galandro, who just never pops up in all of New Jedi Order. all of Darkness and all the Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi. Just she never shows up again.
She's just forgotten about.
Just forgotten about to history. So what happened to Anja? So me and Brennan thought, what if something did happen, something big enough that would affect Jason moving forward? Maybe make him a pacifist. Maybe make him start to be super philosophical and question his role in
Low
life.
key, a philosophical character like Coleman being an early mentor for Jason, like, and his messages never sunk in until he experienced early loss. And then it was like they all clicked together in his head. Could be explained as another catalyst.
Also, a big problem for me, which only gets addressed by Troy Denning, is the fact that if you read the end of Young Jedi Knights, absolutely, Jason was in a relationship with Tino Ka, which is just non-existent at the start of New Jedi Order. So I felt that
Denning rectifies that a little bit in Star by Star.
So he says that they were together, but that they broke up, or that they're not together anymore. But it doesn't say what happened. So me and Brennan thought that we can combine all those ideas to explain why Jason acts the way he does in New Jedi Order and have a seamless transition, basically. An epilogue, YA book.
Like he pushes her away because he doesn't want to lose her because of the whole just losing Anja thing. And Tino doesn't know how to react to Coleman or to Jason's like depression, honestly.
Yeah. And then,
I think it really works, honestly.
Yeah, and then like of course he thinks that Danny is super hot in New Jedi Order, but nothing romantically happens till near the end of the series anyway.
True.
It's just, of course, he's a teenager. He finds woman attractive. So, but I don't think that would contradict the depression or the feelings he has for Tino Ka.
No.
But at the time that he gets in a relationship with Danny Kui, he's been apart from Tino Ka for years at that point. I mean, they met up during the Vong mission that they went on, but like that was a super depressing moment for him where he then lost his brother and then got captured for a year. So I don't think he'd be
spoilers.
Well, you know, but I don't think he'd be too concerned about him and his relationship with Tino Ka at that point in time. So I can see why afterwards he's spending more time with Danny. Not Danny. Is it Danny Kui? Is that
Danny Kui? Yep, you're right.
Okay. So you know, it makes sense why he starts to pursue that. And then later,
I really dislike Danny Kui.
I always joke that I hate her. I don't hate her. I just think that she should not be with Jason. They don't really have chemistry.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like
agree.
A woman. Jason
she's just some blonde chick who's a scientist.
I mean, that's fine, but she was never interesting enough to warrant being the love interest to a main character.
She's not good enough for my Jason.
She's not. Tino Ka all the way.
Amen.
Amen. But yeah, that's our story. That's one of them. We have another one. Maybe we'll do that some other time. But
so. Hey, if anyone made it to the end of this video, what are you still doing here? Thanks for listening to our TED Talk about ancient lit. Thank you for listening to us read our masterpiece, or as we think it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, let us know if it's absolute dog poopy in the comment section below.
Yeah, flame us in the comments, please.
Yeah, tell us how much of a horrendous shill loser hacks we are.
And if it's going to be complaining about the overuse of references, they're all my bad, not his.
Yeah, I'm not the reference
guy. I decided to randomly go SE crazy at random parts.
No, he just does the Lucino thing, which is very annoying sometimes. Not when you do it. I just mean when Lucino does it.
Oh, no. I thought it was annoying when I do it, too.
It's annoying when you both do it.
Yeah. We imagine us meeting up and doing it together. Wait a minute.
I've already gone to your house, Brennan. Your parents were there, though. Had to be respectful. You're also underage at the time, I think. Still.
Was I?
No, were you? You might have been 18 by that point. This is last year, right?
It was 24, wasn't it?
Don't say that.
Wait,
no, it was March of 2025, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was March of 25 because that's when Legends Con was supposed to be.
Yeah, if you're 19, we're fine.
Yeah.
Nothing happened though anyway.
Oh.
Your parents were there. Implied something would happen if your parents weren't there.
What do you mean something would happen if my parents weren't there?
You know, just a little bit of Malazan reading. That's what they're calling it now.
Huh.
And your soda can collection. Your brother Your brother Dick.
Yeah, I'm definitely editing that out. He needs to have a career.
What had your career? It had your brother's.
What?
What? I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
I'll just put a censor and they'll be like, I wonder what your brother said. And they'll never know.
Exactly. But that's about it for us today, I guess.
Yeah.
We have almost a movie length of time that
We had way too much fun today.
Well, the video would have definitely been shorter had we not gone on all our tangents, but they were fun tangents, and I don't get to talk.
Oh, they were fun.
Books, so.
And also, we haven't gotten a chance to sit down and talk face to face in a while, so it was just kind of a treat to get to do that.
But yeah, if you came to the end of this, the short story definitely would probably only take you like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It just was longer because we went on tangents.
Mhm.
So it's still a short story. It's just a longer short story.
It's low key like novella length, maybe.
It is novella length. It's like how many pages did it go up to?
In the actual work. Oh, the file's just released, so we can check. Hold up, I'll pull those up real quick. I've not opened them yet. I'm loving it. Why did I just spam that? There's legitimately there was no good reason for that.
Really not. Other than being silly.
What can I say? I'm a silly boy.
What can I say except you're welcome?
You're welcome.
Never seen it.
Is that Moana or something?
Yeah, never seen it though.
I haven't either. Maybe I have.
I've just seen the meme where it goes, "What can I say except the N-word?" Yeah.
What can you say other than that? Not much. All right, let's open the cover first of all. Get a little taste. Get a little.
Also, in case you didn't know, in case you watched this entire movie-length video and didn't know what this was, we made a short story for Fanfiction, which was meant to be in the style of those old Tales Tales and novels we had back in the day with the Cantina, with the Bounty Hunters, and with Jabba's Palace, but we never got any for the prequels. And Brennan has written stories for both the Pod Racers fanfiction tale, for the Outlander Club. This is the first one that I've done. So
it's still so peak seeing our names on here. Like, look at that.
So my roommate's now here.
It's pretty peak, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty cool.
Marcel as well. There's our boy. Oops. What? Oh, my control of this is not great. Here's our boy. I'd like to picture this is the scene where he's about to strike down the child trafficker.
No.
When he ignites the blade. That's what I like to think, at least.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Glad to be part of it.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. The cover is amazing. The artist is phenomenal. So opening, this is what the interior of it looks like. Oh, wow. I didn't know there was this write-up. This is a write-up for our story. Senators, aristocrats, and rebel leaders take their seats at the most prestigious opera house in the core worlds. Coleman Kcaj, a wise but unassuming member of the Jedi Council. The new threat had shaken his faith in the Force, but now more than ever he was needed to lead as a group of Jedi fugitives sought him out for guidance. That's a pretty apt description.
Yeah.
Scrolling through. Note from the editor.
You're allowed to show this?
Yeah. It's officially released.
Oh, okay. Wait, so this is like on the website?
Yeah. You can find that in the Discord.
Well, then
Geek.
maybe freaking Joe can finally read it.
True.
So it goes from 415 to 460.
Command F 415. Wait, that's not what I meant to do. 415. There it is. I'm curious how they did the subtitles. It looks cool.
true.
The subtitles look pretty good
They do.
where they're set up. And
Pretty
so
impressive.
we go all the way down to here. Oh, kept the fin in for the end. That's funny. All right, so there you have it.
Yep.
What else is there to say, really?
Go check it out. Go read all the stories
Yep.
besides Alone. There's another story we wrote together. There's a story you wrote by yourself, right?
Yep, there is. Yeah.
And there's a story by Marcel. There's a story also by numerous other people that are really cool.
Marcel's is really good in this one.
So
I've
there's
read
something-
all of them, and they're all phenomenal. There's some really good ones in here. The ones about the Papanoidas, the blue people, are some of the best I've read. Like, genuinely some of the best Star Wars short stories I've read. They're really emotional and really good.
Now that the trilogy is done, I mean, I upload my videos super ahead of time, but I probably will at some point do a review for all of these and just
That would be
exclude
peak.
I'll just exclude our stories because I'm biased because I helped. So I just won't talk about ours, but I'll talk about all the other ones that I know.
Will you review mine on the ones
Yeah.
I made?
I'll review the ones you made. I just
I'm
won't review the ones
scared.
that I worked on. Why are you scared?
You should tear into them. It would be funny.
Yeah, I thought I have an ARC review I'm supposed to do. Somebody asked me to read their book, and I thought it was fine. And it's not like I'm getting paid for it, so it's like, but I'll be honest, like it's kind of mid. But then like, do I ever get an early book review thing from an author again ever? I don't know, but he asked for my opinion, so I'm gonna give it. And if I never get another early release review of a book, that's fine.
Keep your integrity, right?
I'm not gonna fake it for
Yeah.
So.
Meanwhile,
yeah.
I do fake it for the views. Here on this channel, we're getting lots of views, and I'm so faking it.
Oh
like-
my gosh.
Right now, I'm literally pretending that Alex and I are friends. This is the best
Yeah.
acting job we've ever done.
Yeah, I'm a great actor.
Yeah, you're really good, Alex.
I'm
For a
faking
second
my
there-
friendship with my roommate. I've been doing a pretty good job so far.
For a second there, I was thinking that if you'd come over here and I wasn't a minor, yikes. Remember you saying that a few minutes ago? You're
Oh,
scaring me
yeah.
with that.
It's two consensual adults. Yeah. Anything could
Yeah.
happen.
You were on some crazy time in there. I like your couch.
Thank you. We have
Is
a
that
couch
new?
now. That is new. Before it was just the floor.
Yeah.
Couch.
Is it like a sectional?
Sectional? What does that mean?
A sectional couch?
No,
I can't
no,
tell
no.
like the width of it.
No.
Love it. Looks comfy.
Behind the couch, we have my push-up board. I do my push-ups in the morning.
Oh, nice. You're still on that?
Yes, I've been doing that every morning and night for 2 years now.
That's awesome, man. Glad.
Yeah. So
Everyone who's watching this video should take their health more seriously and exercise every day. I've been doing that all year, and I went from 228 pounds to 190. Just watching what I eat, not drinking
I
soda.
went from 170 to
Doing no activity.
123.
Are you serious?
I also only eat one meal a day. So
That's
and it's an omelet.
crazy.
No
Good
cheese,
stuff.
tomatoes, onions, mushrooms.
Did you say 123?
123 pounds, yes.
I
If you go back and watch all my
I
videos
could
from
pick
last
you up
year,
in one arm.
if you watch my videos from last year, you can noticeably see my face is like wider and puffier.
Yeah.
It actually like is awful watching those old videos of mine. Like it's still in my house. Like I had a friend, another YouTuber, some Okie dude, who's another YouTuber. He talks about books and stuff, and he commented on my Elric video,
Mm.
and that was when I was still filming at my house with my parents, and you could see my face. It's like noticeably bigger and puffier.
Yeah.
It's really funny. Or if you look at any pictures of us from Legends Con 1, I was fat as hell compared to what I
Have
am
you
now.
seen me in those pictures? I look terrible.
Listen, but you're taller, so it's fine.
I was 38 pounds heavier. It's terrible.
Yes, but it doesn't look as bad though when you're tall. When you're as short as me and you're that big, dude, it's awful.
I never thought you looked that bad.
Well,
I
thank
thought
you.
you looked solid, my guy.
Yeah, well, I think I look fantastic now. That's what I like to be. And it's not because I'm trying to impress anybody. It's because I just want to feel good for myself, and I know I do. So,
Yeah.
I can wear I wouldn't wear this shirt if this was like 2 years ago, because then you would see the stomach like popping out, and that it bothered me to no end. Now I don't have to
Same
worry
for me
about
with
that.
this shirt. I couldn't wear the shirt a few years ago.
Yeah, like
It's
this is
like a
super cool
large
shirt.
size, and I couldn't
Yeah,
wear
we're
it.
also still recording. I just think it's really talking about casual things here. But you know
Yeah.
what? This is what we do when we're not recording. This is how the conversations go. Me and Brennan.
Yeah,
So
this
you're
is
getting
all of our
insider
videos except I'm gonna be lazy and not edit any of this out. So they're gonna see what we do every time we record a video.
Yeah, and after we call it in, we talk for like another hour, almost.
Yeah,
every
we're just
time.
getting it done right now. So yeah, the story was
Well, actually, my roommate is here, and I know he's gonna want the living room, so I'll probably will say we should probably head out now. So
yeah.
but
Well,
yeah,
I
it's
hope
been
y'all have
fun.
a fun evening, and thank y'all for
Hope
watching
you
the
enjoyed
video.
our story. Hope you read the rest of them. They're well deserving of it. There's numerous stories that are just as fantastic, if not better. So highly recommend you check them out, and read the previous two collections if you haven't yet. The Outlanders Club and the Pod Racers, which I say they're all really good, and I did not write any of them, so you got no bias from me. I had nothing to do with the previous two, so only this one. So this is the only one I'm biased on. Brendan's a phenomenal writer. So is Marcel. Lance wrote some stories too, if you know who Lance is. If you don't know, that's okay. But there's numerous writers in that collection. That wasn't like a diss. Why do you smile about it? I just say like I
thought it was
the
funny.
names, and like I realized people may not know who Marcel or Lance is. So anyway, there's a
They're
bunch
great
of
guys.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So build the force.
So willed the force.
And with that, wish you all a pleasant day.
So willed the force.
So build the force. Until next time.
Why can't I click the end button? Wait, what the heck? There we go.
He's now live forever. Look at this, guys. I have all the power in the universe. It is mine.